down why Oprah Winfrey will never be elected president of the United States because of the skeletons in her closet. They want to call Trump a Nazi? Look out, lady. We know what you're designed to do. You're the black-faced to carry out the enslavement of black folks and everybody else. Here's the John Bound report first. The truth is powerful, and Trump operates unlike any statesman I've seen in modern history in the truth. And that's what's so refreshing about it. But he said, you know, the mainstream media really needs me to win in 2020. You guys had almost no ratings, and it completely imploded until I came along, and you're still a shadow of your former selves because you're fake news. But he said, you need me. And look at the economy. Look at all of it. It's all roaring back, and optimism and so many other good things, and Trump is delivering on what he said. Very sensible policies across the board, and they are just flipping out, completely inverting all of this. And now Michael Wolff, known for yellow journalism, I mean, he's famous for festooning his news reports with outright fabrications. Like you hang ornaments on a Christmas tree.
This is, you know, I think not an exaggeration and not unreasonable. And it's not unreasonable to say this is 25th Amendment kind of stuff. This is, I mean,
did anybody say that in the West Wing to you?
All the time.
25th Amendment. They would bring up the 25th Amendment?
Yes, actually they would say we're not in the sort of in the mid period. We're not at a 25th Amendment level yet. Or they would...
It's alarming.
This is alarming in every way. And then this went on. Okay, this is a little 25th Amendment. So 25th Amendment is a concept that is alive every day in the White House.
He's now come out and said he has no way to know if any of it's true. And he's gone on to say, quote, I'll do whatever is necessary to get the story. Oh, they just absolutely love to hurt innocents. They just rub their hands together to break down civilization, to destroy families, to defile everything they can, and to deceive and to mislead, to build their own universe of fraud. This is the compendium of their abomination, desolation. People like him enjoy the climate of fake news media, corporate media, and the open season on the truth, open season on the president, open season on loyal, decent, hardworking, honorable folks. Open season because the trash knows it's being taken out. And so the trash is fighting for its political, cultural, and spiritual life. And its life is culturally ruling us. Smiley-faced demons out there like Brian Stelter and Michael Wolff. They're all going to point at our champion, who is in the center of the arena under massive attacks and whole balconies, whole cacophonies, whole lines of these carrion crows, these buzzards, these vultures, these rotten flesh eaters. They sit up there and all crow and cackle in chorus that we're bad, and we're fake, and we're evil. When you judge a tree by its fruits, all we deliver is the news before it's ever forced out. All we deliver is the cutting edge. All we deliver is danger to them. All we deliver is the reality of... Man, I love watching President Trump troll the media, the controlled corporate media. We're going to cover some of that trolling today. And Sink Uger, that openly wrote that women are subhuman, that women are genetically defunct because they don't love his Islamic worldview. He literally wrote that, because they don't all want him, that they're basically chattel. They've declared me mentally ill. Oh, like they've declared Trump mentally ill because I attacked Brian Stelter and said that he's a literal demon politically. And that he's drunk politically on the blood of our children, which, of course, in the entire compendium of the rant, I'm pointing out that the arrogance, the spirit of Brian Stelter, in my view, the arrogance of the particular photograph I was talking about, brings that to mind. So it was satire, and they know that. And so what they do is they cobble it together, acting like I'm actually believing he's from hell itself. No, I'm saying people like Stelter are manifesting hell. And I just brought it up because the photo, who poses for a smiling photo like this? I mean, I can't even. It's what is it about sociopaths and psychopaths that they don't know how fake they look? I mean, just look at this. Him and Wolf. I said, you know, Wolf's his daddy. Of course Wolf's not his daddy. And I said in the rant, metaphysically, he might as well be his daddy. So they play fast and loose with the truth. That's why they're who they are. But I love how this crazy person built their own media operation that reaches more people than the Young Turds do on terrestrial radio and so much more. And our website's tens of thousands of times bigger than theirs. I wonder how they do that. I wonder how they juxtapose the fact that they say I'm mentally ill, but I didn't have to get money from Gulf state dictatorships to fund my operation. See? And I love how the Media Matters quotes are real short little quote, and then it'll put other words with quote, creating false sentences out of context. It's what they do. And I trolled them consciously. I said, I just trolled them. They know it's a troll. They're trolling their audience, saying that I didn't say it was satirical at the front and the back. I can't even look at her. It's kind of like what Megyn Kelly did before she left Fox News. When she was covering Pizzagate and misrepresenting what I'd said, she played a clip of me saying, I don't know if Hillary's actually, you know, enslaving or sacrificing or killing kids, but she's personally responsible for the policies that have killed hundreds of thousands of people, including tens of thousands of children, many of them which have been raped, killed, and tortured. And then I showed news articles. Well, they noticed they didn't show video on Megyn Kelly. The Kelly file or whatever it was called. They just showed audio, and it was edited together. So, again, I like that because they go out, they lie to their audience, but the audience then goes, I better go check out what Alex Jones actually said. They go hear what I actually said in its completeness, and then they know, oh, you are fake news. And President Trump does the exact same thing. But here's the bottom line. I got so much to cover today. They are in full panic. Less than 1 year into Trump. We're now 11 months and 20 days or so. We are coming up in, 11 days on the anniversary of the inauguration of Donald John Trump, and the stock market, the new jobs, the jobless numbers are the lowest ever. The exuberance, the new factory startups are record. I mean, we have really turned the corner. You could say come back from the dead. And he's breaking the back of political correctness and so much more, and cutting off foreign aid to countries that hate us and fund terrorist groups. I mean, he's really taking action. And you would tune into mainstream news or establishment news, you would think the world had ended. In fact, I never got to this yesterday, but we've got a Sarah Huckabee Sanders tweet where she pointed out that the media claimed we would have financial Armageddon. Even when he was president-elect, they said before he gets into office, the stock market's going to plunge, because they wanted to plunge the economy, because they know what Trump's doing. He's running on prosperity. They're running on control, on domestication, on people not being independent but dependent. That's their admitted plan. So Trump wins by fulfilling. Trump wins. Even if you believe he's this sociopath, doesn't believe one thing he says that all the talking heads tell us so much, they're projecting who they are onto Trump. Nancy Pelosi warned economic Armageddon under President Trump, which of course means the total opposite has taken place. President Trump policies are inspiring an economic liftoff. Liftoff just means the economy has lifted off. Yeah, it's even stronger than that. But Trump knows he's using the bubble they designed for themselves to transfer wealth back to the people from the globalist. But that's going to be short-lived. He's got to get the industry and the startups and the exuberance going, and we have ignition. We do have liftoff. In fact, what she wrote, what she said there is the perfect description of liftoff, of the taking off of the economy. And We've got a beachhead in Washington in some areas. We're turning the corner. The states are waking up. The people are waking up. So the globalists are spewing racial division, sexual division, class warfare, and admitting they're doing it cold-bloodedly everywhere. And all they're doing is destroying their audience bases, whether it's the Golden Globes or whether it's CNN or whether it's the NFL or whether it's entertainment. People are leaving en masse because they're tired of being beaten over the head with all this garbage. It's amazing. So, we're going to cover so much today and get into so many angles, but look at the arrogance of Michael Wolff, a known charlatan. The wolf in journalist clothing, saying that this book will bring down the president. Boy, everything was going to bring him down, and he was going to lose the primaries, and you were going to keep him from being inaugurated. You were going to keep him from being getting the delegates and being seated. And then you were going to remove him because he's a Russian agent. And all it did was blow up in your face and prove that you were the ones in bed with all these different foreign powers and foreign groups. It's simply incredible. And I keep telling you that the left is coming out of the closet about the fact that they are Satanists and that they are pedophiles and that they are sick, sick people. And even the LA Times and others say, a new generation of LA Satanists finds community in blasphemous times. And they say that Trump is forcing people to turn to Satanism. And then when I cover this, they go, oh, Jones is crazy. There's no such thing as Satanist. It's simply incredible. So we're going to be breaking all of that down. But the big news today, when we come back, Oprah Winfrey gave a speech last night, and she pledged to empower women to stand against the great evil of Trump. When everything she does worldwide is about getting women to sign on to the UN, to be disempowered, and to be sterilized. She is the heart of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's even linked on Infowars.com to mainstream news articles, but that are in the Wayback Machine and the archive machines because they've tried to expunge them, where she goes to elite meetings with Bill Gates, David Rockefeller before he died, Ted Turner, all of them, to discuss how she's the front for women to get rid of husbands and to become wards of the state and become sterilized. And she's running a worldwide church with a tax-free foundation she's got to brainwash children in the third world. She's got a new movie coming out as a vehicle. But don't worry, just like Google says don't be evil, and when they're pure evil, they're called the Good Club, and population's their goal. Billionaires try to shrink world population, report says, and it leaked out of the Rockefeller meeting at the Einstein University, and it's all how they're going to bring in a world government and a world youth corps, a world sterilization corps, where they teach the kids to hate themselves because of the environment, and it's just totally sick. Oprah Winfrey is an absolute anti-human Nazi troll. So, yes, she can. Oprah Winfrey. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. Everybody gets something free if you just vote for Oprah Winfrey against Donald Trump coming up in 3 years. But you know that that campaign has already started. She's being drafted. She's being pushed. She's being prepared by the establishment. And there she was last night, perched at another one of these stupid award shows amongst a bunch of other Hollywood idiots. And I don't just say that. I mean, they make me sick. Just looking at their ugly mummy faces and all the piles of swag and jewelry and crap all piled up around them like they're little demonic dragons sitting on top of their gold. And then they cut to Meryl Streep, who defends pedophilia, who defends a man that kidnapped and raped a 13-year-old girl anally, and won't apologize about it, Roman Polanski, but that she says Richard Dreyfuss once slapped her too hard in a scene where they'd agreed to she'd be slapped. You know, that's how you do stunts, and you agree, I'll do this stunt. You don't want to get slapped for real, and the director wants it, they have a stunt double comes in who's paid. But, oh, I'm a victim. Richard Dreyfuss slapped me too hard once. I remember that slap scene. It's powerful because he really slaps her. I mean, I've been in movies where I actually fall to my knees and bloodied my knees, take after take, as I get tasered by the police and drug into a futuristic SWAT vehicle. Should I come out and say, Richard Linklater abused me. He told me to fall to my knees in the concrete, and he's a bad man for putting me in Scanner Darkly. No. But it's this victimology because she's a pig. Because Meryl Streep's a monster. But let me tell you who's really bad. And we're going to dig into her big time. I've been telling you about Oprah Winfrey forever, saying they were readying her for president. She's the one that pushed Obama, all of it. She is a monster, ladies and gentlemen. She is part of one of the most powerful, or the most powerful, secret government cabals that only 15 to 20 global leaders attend. She is the only black person to ever have attended it. And they sell it, the few times they reported on it, on ABC News and others, that they're like the super friends. Dun, 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 dun. And it's got Oprah Winfrey on the clip, and it's got David Rockefeller. I forget which film it is, but one of my films has got a clip of it in it. And they're just going to save the earth. They're going to save the kids, teaching you humans are bad with carbon taxes and global government. Just like Hillary was supposed to get in. So they had that book that was supposed to come out right after Hillary got elected, where Chelsea was going to run the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation worldwide and teach kids to be sterilized, basically. Well, here it is. Oprah shifts blame from Me Too onto general public, fails to condemn Weinstein. And you get to see Meryl Streep and all of these mummies. But Meryl Streep, she just defends a child rapist, a child kidnapper. That's bad enough. Oprah Winfrey, with her arrogance and her whole act that she's this good person, is truly disgusting. Because you look into what she does for the UN worldwide, they trick women to sign on to this world church body that's tax exempt. And she produces these propaganda pieces for people in Africa and other places, and she's the black face of eugenics and population control and dumbing down, not just in Africa, but all over the third world, where she comes in with the Bill and Melinda Gates group backing her, and she's the black face of depopulation and black abortion. So if you are a real white supremacist, you really should support her. If you are someone that believes in world population reduction, particularly of brown people, but then they want to keep the brown folks that don't get exterminated and use them as a weapon, again, against the West and say whites are bad. The globalist program is basically an AI war system that's been AI'd out now, but it's based on the old British divide and conquer to be synergistically wicked, where it just attacks everybody, plays everybody off against everybody. It's pure evil. So again, you have the swollen, corrupt, satanic Hollywood thrusting this lady out there who, when she's not busy kissing on Harvey Weinstein, she's busy as a front group for Bill and Melinda Gates. And by the way, the media will say, oh, Jones is crazy. He says the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is a eugenics group. It's in my film Endgame. You can pull it up. There's 2 interviews from more than 15 years ago in super low quality on PBS. And on those programs, they are interviewed, Bill Gates and his father, Bill Gates Sr., former of Army Intelligence, former head of the Planned Parenthood, where they admit the world's too populated, we need a world government to come in and reduce population. Do you understand? And I guess I could just join Bill Gates and play along with the whole liberal program and sit there and watch, all the Latin Americans shot up with Gardasil that's a sterilant and all the rest of it. But I'm not going to go along with this. And it's going to be so sick to see them try to force feed us Oprah Winfrey. Read the articles. Celebrities call for Oprah Winfrey to run for president following Golden Globe speech. We're going to play that speech coming up. They're called the Good Club, and they want to save the world. That's the London Guardian. And when you read it, it says they are a world government, and the members have spent $125 billion. This was back in 2009, as I said, like 8 years ago, But really, it's all tax exempt. Their fortunes have only gotten bigger. They just take some of the profit and then put it into the depopulation and brainwashing and world government. The meeting, called by Gates, Buffett, and Rockefeller, was held in response to the global economic downturn and the numerous health and environmental crises. Oh. Then you read, though, it says at the end, they are an alternative world government, and their main goal is population reduction through the United Nations. But they're the good club. Go read it for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. And this is their own PR. Oh, and there are these great donors that care about you so much and that want to take care of you and be sweet to you. Henry Ford, the admitted Nazi. George Soros, the Nazi collaborator. Andrew Carnegie, complete psychopath. John D. Rockefeller. Geez, I mean, do you need to know anymore? Bill Gates. I mean, you've got to read this. There's other articles. Here it is. Billionaires try to shrink world population, report says. Associated Press. And now they're setting up a world government in a bid to curb world population. Almost all the attendees are politically liberal. Do you think it's a star chamber of philanthropics? Is something to worry about or something to be grateful for? With their goal of shrinking world population. They tried to come out of the closet 8 years ago. It didn't work. They went back into it. But that's who Oprah Winfrey is. So, hey, when I say she's a Nazi, that's too kind. It's the eugenicists. It was the Ford Foundation. It was the IBM groups that literally created the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute and the whole Nazi ideology. So, while the globalists destabilize Africa, Latin America, Asia, and try to keep them from becoming industrialized, which then makes you only have 2 kids on average, that's just a historical fact, works the same way from Japan to the United States. They've done it in tests in certain areas of Africa, Latin America. It's happened. So that actually stops the overpopulation if you believe in that. And there are some areas that are obviously overpopulated. But as the Czech president is reporting, 10 million African migrants preparing to flood Europe under the UN's own plan on top of the 10 million that they've already flooded Europe with. Meanwhile, back in the United States at the Hollywood Golden Toilet Awards, they brought in SJW Antifa creatures to set them next to the, quote, celebrities. And when you look at the mummies that are in this Hollywood event and the Meryl Streep who defends pedophilia and child rape, and then you've got pontificating up there, the big news. You've got Oprah Winfrey, who's yet to talk bad about Harvey Weinstein, with all the witnesses of rape and all the intimidation and all the rest of it. You can go back to a 2014 award show and others and catch photos and video. Let's put it on screen for TV viewers of Oprah Winfrey sucking Harvey Weinstein's ear. I would liken that to actually sucking on the devil's rear end. Because the word is actually that's where the crap comes out of Harvey Weinstein's ear. Okay, I'm being sarcastic there. The headline, Jones believes Harvey Weinstein's anus is his ear. I'm not being serious. Excuse me. I am being serious, if you're a radio listener, about her sucking on his ear. In fact, let's retweet the photo right now at Real Alex Jones. Not only does Oprah Winfrey push African depopulation, which we just documented earlier, Associated Press, you name it, London Guardian, she also sucks on Harvey Weinstein's ear, doesn't decry him when hundreds of victims come out, including dozens and dozens of people that the chauffeurs and others who he had for years say no. He would jump on top, particularly small actresses who were 18 years old, and rape them. Shove their legs up behind their ears and rape them with his considerable 300-pound body. He would get 105, 106, 107-pound women, reportedly, and rape them. Then he'd throw them a rag and say, clean yourself up. Get out of the car. And then he's such an addict, he'd go pick up another one and another one. Reportedly, this guy's quite the rapist stud. And I'm not encouraging that. I mean, he'll say, oh, he says he's a stud for raping. No, I mean, he's a stud when it comes to it. He's sick. You know, like Hitler was an ace at being evil. And you look at this, then you've got her up with Meryl Streep in the shot. They even cut to Meryl Streep when they talk about how men are all bad and women are going to rise up against them and they're going to be the change. When she works for the globalists and literally sucks the crusty, fetid, scrofulous-covered, degenerate, stinking ear of Harvey, the reported rapist, scumbag, Weinstein. The guy that also flies on the Lolita Express pedophile airplane with Bill Clinton. Oh, and who else? Oh, Kevin Spacey. And who else? It goes on, doesn't it? Blow that up, though, carefully, ladies and gentlemen. Oprah Winfrey sucking Harvey Weinstein's ear. And in case folks think we photoshopped this, we didn't. Can we please pull up the actual news article where you found it from 2014? Drum roll, please. Because I know I saw it in there during the break. We double-checked this photo. This is in mainstream news, ladies and gentlemen. There it is, Pop Sugar. The real fun happens off stage at the Critics' Choice Awards. And what's the real fun? Blow it up. That's January 17th, 2014. 4 years ago, there she is. And ladies and gentlemen, that is her sucking, French kissing his ear, sticking her tongue in his ear. British actress says Weinstein used Oprah as bait for sex. Oh, Infowars.com, January 8th. Today. I didn't even know we had this article out. See how it's all synergistically coming together? Infowars.com. Can we add Weinstein to this article, sucking with her sticking her tongue in that disgusting hole? Good God. Oprah Winfrey will never be president. She sticks her tongue in Weinstein's ear in public and then tells us that she stands for women. She is a globalist tool bag of Bill and Melinda Gates. Oh, by the way, I really started peaking on Bill and Melinda Gates about 6 years ago, and I got real clear messages from them. And then Melinda even gave a speech and said, if you don't stop, people saying that we're trying to hurt people, if you don't stop, a lot of people are going to die. And then I got absolutely clear messages that you will shut up about us. Well, I didn't shut up, did I? And I can't shut up because now you've deployed Oprah against us. And when she's not luring women in, as is being reported to Harvey Weinstein, she's hanging out with you guys. And listen, I know you guys failed. And I know that IBM and the Cold Springs Harbor Research Facility that was literally funded over 80% by the Rockefeller family. The Rockefeller family created the modern eugenics in the U.S., came out of England. They deployed it, and they fully financed the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute that was the scientific hub in Germany of Hitler's entire operation, the European Union, everything. And they had congressional hearings about it later, the McCormick-Dickstein hearings. I mean, I've got clips of it in my film Endgame. You understand that's why I'm so frustrated? I mean, this is history. This is fact. Oprah Winfrey literally runs a giant tax-free foundation that's a world government Rockefeller front to carry out population reduction, and it's even in the news. And then you get lectured by her, and they cut to a woman that publicly defends child rapists, and then this woman's buddies with Weinstein and won't say anything about him. And look, The Rock's listening to her. Dwayne Johnson's listening, so intently because he's such a good man to Oprah. Then he hangs around with Tom Hanks and all these other people. And I don't want to hate Dwayne Johnson because he doesn't have any background like this. But let me tell you something right now. If Dwayne Johnson wants to get elected president, I like the fact that he's supposedly a Republican, more of a conservative, doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, very charming guy. I like him. And I don't like hardly anybody in Hollywood, but I can get fooled by his charm. Maybe I'm being fooled, maybe I'm not. But man, stop hanging around with that mausoleum of scum. Do you understand? America, Dwayne, is sick of Hollywood. We are tired of it like poison we're vomiting up out of us. And I still haven't even gotten to some of the Golden Globes garbage, and we're gonna play some of it when we come back. It's just being lectured when you know that this woman is a monster by every yardstick. Let me just stop right there. We have not come up with new specials yet, but I've got to end the free shipping that's been going since before Christmas, and I've got to end the 50% off Brain Force and the 50% off X2 and the 50% off Super Male Vitality and the 50% off the Real Red Pill, the 50% off the high-quality fluoride-free toothpaste that's fortified with colloidal silver and iodine, all Super Blue products, 50% off. I've got to end this because Tim Fruget, the warehouse and marketing manager, came over here, and he came over and he said, listen, Alex, we are selling out of DNA Force at 33% off. We are selling out of Brain Force. We already sold out of Myco ZX, as you know, at the regular price. I mean, discounted. We held a little back for auto ship. We're selling out of everything. So we are not getting some of the stuff for months. You've got to stop. So I've got to get with Tim today, come up with the new specials and things, but these have been the biggest in years. Water filtration, air purifiers, high-quality storable food, shop with the good guys, help fund folks that will fearlessly take on these scumbags because we love it. Infowarsstore.com, Infowarslife.com, or 888-253-3139. But I am ending these specials today. They absolutely must end because we are exhausting all of our supplies and won't have some for months, and then we'll lose a lot of money. So we need your support, Infowars Store. Well, the globalists are panicking. All over the world, nationalism is coming back. People want to determine their own destiny. They want to be free market. They're pro-family. They're pro-prosperity. And so, raising its ugly head, again, Hollywood has a bunch of SJW, George Soros-funded globalists at the Golden Globes. And they're rolling out the fact that they plan to run her for president in 2020. That means in about a year, she'll be announcing. They plan to run Oprah Winfrey, the woman who literally pushes a worldwide tax-free church that's a front for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I just covered the articles earlier that tells women not to have children, that the family is bad. You can even pull up press conferences of her pushing that, and the whole plan is depopulation. And we covered some of those articles earlier. Billionaires try to shrink world population. Report says, Associated Press, Oprah Winfrey, the only black person to attend that secret meeting that later leaked out. And she's right at the heart of that with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's how she gets out of paying taxes. It is simply incredible. Meanwhile, if you expand on all of this, we have a flashback. It's on Infowars.com by Jamie White and Newswars.com. British actresses says Weinstein used Oprah as bait for sex. Oprah duped her into thinking Weinstein would help her career, says the actress. Now, reportedly, Oprah will not criticize Weinstein or said anything he's done is wrong. She said nothing about Weinstein or Hollywood's problem with women. She said it was Trump and Republicans, and we now have photos of her in an article about how behind the scenes stuff gets crazy in Hollywood, of her sucking on the ear and sticking her tongue in Harvey Weinstein's ear. So this is the lady who, again, lures these young ladies in to basically culturally, societally, in a sexist way, lead them into the spider's web. That's who she is. She is the ultimate Benedict Arnold. You must research what a monster this woman is. But imagine Meryl Streep in the audience. They cut to her during the Golden Globes when they're talking about men being bad. And here she is defending Roman Polanski, kidnapping and raping a 13-year-old girl anally, reportedly blood all over the place, raping little girls so they bleed everywhere. That's loving. That's trendy. That's good. But, again, if you try to restore the economy, you're a bad person. But Trump knows by winning, by restoring things, by fixing things, he will defeat all their lies. He'll show us how real he is and how they're the fraud, how they're the fake, how they're the lie. But Oprah Winfrey will never be elected president because she is part of a African, particularly depopulation group that mainly targets Africa with vaccines and contracts where women agree to be sterilized. And you can argue, well, isn't that nice? Okay, she's telling you the whites are out to get you and men are out to get women, and then she's funding a group and has a church worldwide that pushes women not getting married and that men are bad, but then she gets married and has all these boyfriends and basically brings women to Weinstein and then sticks her tongue in his ear. Let's show the news article again. We just tweeted it out at Real Alex Jones. Oprah Winfrey attacks men in Golden Globe speech, says nothing about Harvey Weinstein. Remember the time she openly stuck her tongue in his ear? Infowars.com, flashback. British actress says Weinstein used Oprah as bait for sex. I want to hit her with all these tweets with that photo. And let's talk about how the establishment, the globalist, picked her to be who she is today as a Judas goat, as a black face, a smiling, sweet face, to lure little flies and little bugs into the spider's web. Look it up. The Cold Springs Harbor Group. That's what they were meeting up in New York about. The original eugenics group that funded Hitler. She is the only black person allowed in the group. Oprah Winfrey is literally one of the #1 enemies of black people in the world, in my view. Let's go ahead and play this clip of her grandstanding and looking at Meryl Streep. Oh, we love the women, Meryl. Men are the problem. Oh, the media is so wonderful. Trump's so evil. Here is her sickening garbage on the listing sinking ship that is the filth that is Hollywood.
I'd like to thank the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, because we all know that the press is under siege these days. But we also know that it is the insatiable dedication to uncovering the absolute.
Look how, the absolute truth. We give you the absolute truth. We're fighting. We're the underdog. And then it cuts to all the old mummies, all to being fake, a bunch of actors. Oh, yeah. Oh, we're so good. We're so anti-elite. That's why we hang out at the secret Cold Springs Harbor meetings. Here, let's go back to her.
That keeps us from turning a blind eye to corruption and to injustice.
Oh, the Clintons, the globalists, Weinstein, all of it. All the inside. There. Thank God the media's here to keep us from the corruption. Thank God. Thank God that, oh man, what will we do without the mainstream media? Let's continue.
To tyrants and victims and secrets and lies. I want to say that I value the press more than ever before as we try to navigate these complicated times, which brings me to this. What I know for sure is that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool.
Again. Speaking your truth. Your magic kingdom, imagine you're going to be a princess, imagine you get a car, you get a car. None of it's true. Your truth, take that, what they put out, regurgitate it, stay in the cult, keep trying to kill prosperity. Let's just get rid of the family. Men are the problem. Because she gets to that. Here it goes.
We all have. And I'm especially proud and inspired by all the women who have felt strong enough.
The women, not a word about the Islamicists that Obama and the globalists set loose that have murdered hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children and put women into sex slavery. I mean, even Linda Sarsour criticized the women in Iran and the news giving them any attention, taking their hijabs off. No, you always back the real oppressors and then demonize the American male in one of the freest countries in the world for women to make us feel guilty so you can grandstand and cover up what a witch you are with all those women that you reportedly brought to Weinstein to be abused when you're not sticking your tongue in his filthy ear. Let's continue.
Powered enough to speak up and share their personal stories. Each of us in this room...
Oh, they're all victims, yes.
...are celebrated because of the stories that we tell. Oh. And this year...
The stories you tell, all the propaganda, the garbage, the lies, like the new story you're telling. Keep going.
We became the story. But it's not just a story affecting the...
We became the story about men saying, I want to take you out, is now the same as Weinstein raping a woman. I see. Thank you for telling us the story. Go ahead.
Entertainment industry. It's one that transcends any culture, geography, race, religion.
Because you're trying to destroy all that and bring in one world government. We get it. Continue.
Politics or workplace. So I want tonight to express gratitude to all the women who have endured years of abuse and assault because they, like my mother, had children to feed and bills to pay.
Again. See, she's the victim of the cry voice, like her mother and you, Hollywood, are good. Hollywood is now an abused woman. Hollywood is not pedophile or devil worship. No, it's the abused one. It's the good one. Oh, we're not poisonous. We're good. Oh, yes, Meryl Streep. Yes, Roman Polanski. Yes. Let's continue.
and dreams to pursue.
Oh, they're such good people. Look at them all. These are all the puppets. These are all.
They're the women whose names we'll never know. They are domestic workers and farm workers.
Pause again. But not women in Chinese slave factories or not women getting sterilized in Africa by your operation. No, because I'm the champion of women. I will lead you women. Here I stand at the big center of the evil globalist operation telling you I will save you. She continues. Go on.
They are working in factories, and they work in restaurants, and they're in academia and engineering and medicine and science. They're part of the world of tech and politics.
And their identity is having a chip on their shoulder that only people like you can control. As we sit here and analyze this filthy BS coming out. Can we put her up there sticking her tongue in the ear of Harvey Weinstein one more time? And then the articles about how she would shuttle young women into him, reportedly. I mean, come on, baby. Tell us about the Clinton. Tell us about women. That'd be courageous if you got up there and excoriated Weinstein or Bill Clinton. But you know, Oprah, we heard you are quite the party animal and you like guys quite a bit. You got all these women out there being better, telling them don't have a man, you know, you don't need a man. But, you know, at least you've got some humanity. You like men, reportedly. So, I mean, what's wrong? Oh, you want them all for yourself. And there's nothing better than bringing a little honey into your sweetheart, Harvey, because he's just as twisted as you. Well, I got something bad to say about Donald Trump. Back in 2015, he twice said nice things about Oprah and said she might be a running mate. But that shows Trump since learned more about her. She's up there demonizing him, attacking him. Only got to a few minutes of her disgusting speech that we're breaking down and analyzing because this isn't entertainment. This is political stuff they're involved in. But I've tweeted at Real Alex Jones on Twitter. Please retweet it. Oprah reportedly enabled one of the most powerful, disgusting men in Hollywood. And I want to retweet that again with the photos yet again, hitting her even harder. I mean, reportedly, she brought women to Weinstein. Here's the headline. British actress says Weinstein used Oprah as bait for sex. And the headline is, evidence mounts that Oprah Winfrey is an operative and ally of Weinstein. From top actresses saying that Weinstein used Oprah as bait for sex to photos of Oprah in public sticking her tongue in his ear. This is our presidential material that's going to lecture us all day about men being evil in general. She is an actress. She is a front. She reads off a script. Do you understand? But see the disgusting photo of her sticking her disgusting tongue in his disgusting ear. Rather stick my tongue in a toilet. Public toilet, literally. Seriously. We should have like a poll on Twitter. Would you rather stick your tongue in a public toilet? Would you rather stick your tongue on a doorknob at a bus station? Would you rather stick your tongue in Harvey Weinstein's ear? Or would you rather stick your tongue, I don't know, into a dead dog on the side of the road? I mean, seriously. This is disgusting, people. They're all into being disgusting. It's what it's all about. It's all about worshiping his evilness. That's why he makes the women look at him when he showers and like rolls fat and goes, don't you like it? The women are like, bleh. And what he wants is to horrify, come in there. And then he doesn't like them enjoying it. It's about, talk about sick. You can kind of channel it a little bit, can't you? Just take one look at Harvey Weinstein and just like, I mean, that is a perv par excellence. Let's hear some more from Oprah Winfrey. Here it is. At the Golden Globes, up there pontificating about the women and how she is the defender. I just care about you all. Here it is.
The military. And there's someone else, Reese Taylor. A name I know and I think you should know too. Oh. In 1944, Reese Taylor was a young wife and a mother. She was just walking home from a church service she'd attended in Abbeville, Alabama, when she was abducted by 6 armed white men.
Pause again. You notice every day buried in the news, there are white people being abducted, killed, murdered, tortured by racist black people, and the media tries to cover it up. So she gets in a time machine to go back to something that's terrible as well, to come out and inflict and say, white men killed the black lady. Just stick a knife in the wound, put some salt in, and that's all she does. It's so easy, and it's so but she's the angel. She's the good person. Let's continue.
Blindfolded by the side of the road, coming home from church.
Hit pause again. Blindfolded by the side of the road, coming home from church. Would you talk about all the whites blindfolded, killed, murdered? But see, they're not human. They don't deserve it unless they're one of these peacocks. But you're not even a black racist, lady. This is your cover. You're a race controller. You are a Nazi. You are part of an admitted cult. You are part of the Rockefeller group to carry out eugenics. It's mainstream news. I covered it earlier. But then you bring in retail racism where now all the actresses and folks go, so everybody watches this at home, and then literally we're back in the 50s or whatever, the 40s, and some black lady getting killed by some thugs. Hope they go to hell, whatever. But the point is, it's all just on and on and on and on and on. And then now the women of the day say, you're all that victim. But don't worry, she'll lead you. She'll lead you. She'll lead you. Don't have a man, don't have a family. She'll lead you. She's going to have a man, she's going to have a family, but you're not. You're not. If you're just now joining us, ladies and gentlemen, Oprah Winfrey has engaged in a race-baiting class warfare 6.5-minute extravaganza at the Golden Globes Hollywood Self-Congratulatory Society. And in this event, she didn't criticize any Islamicist oppressing women. She didn't criticize communist regimes oppressing women. She dredged up tragic events from the 1940s and 50s of white men killing black people, and then basically said, see, whites are devils and all men are devils, but never said a word about her good buddy Harvey Weinstein, that women report that he would use as bait. Infowars.com, British actor says Weinstein used Oprah as bait for sex. Oprah duped her into thinking Weinstein could help her career, actress says. And then we have the bizarre photo that we've tweeted out at Real Alex Jones of Oprah Winfrey sticking her tongue in his ear at another award ceremony in 2014. And you can go to the news article. I mean, it's a real photo. Again, she doesn't criticize him as a modern-day story. She says the courage of women and then makes it look like it's only men hurting women in history, as if men and women aren't the same species. She didn't go, look at the Young Turks, Sink Uyghur, or however you say his name, saying women are genetically inferior and have problems, even though women have an extra chromosome and another set of DNA and the mitochondria and blah, blah, blah. You could actually say that men are genetically deficient because men are split off out of the species that is women. But she doesn't tell women the big secret that they are the species. She comes and tells them, don't have kids, don't have men, kill the species. She runs a women's group where they pledge not to have children. For the earth, this is what she pushes through the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, to the Cold Springs Harbor facility with Bill and Melinda Gates. That's what it is. I have the articles, mainstream news, where she pushes a worldwide depopulation agenda. Billionaires tried to shrink world's population, AP, and at the head of it, Oprah Winfrey. She's the face for Africa. So the Africans will think it's good when she comes and tells them that they can't have cars or air conditioning, just like Obama told them. But that would actually lower their population to 2 people replacement rate. It's actually lower than that when you industrialize any group of people. So the answer to overpopulation, if you believe the metric in all cases, and it is overpopulated in some areas, would be industrialization. But that's been blocked because you don't want to give people civilization. You want to control them. You want to manage the crisis that you exacerbate and that you make even worse. Truly sick. Did she say, there's Meryl Streep, who praises Roman Polanski and says he should be able to get away with raping a 13-year-old girl anally? No. And will the media call her out for defending Weinstein and not criticizing him? The answer is no. But if we get this information out, Oprah Winfrey will never be president. The job is every woman you know being suckered by her. Show her the news articles, show her this video, show her the history, and understand what a pig she is. Good luck, lady, getting away with your Weinstein relationship and all the rest of your behavior, lady. Good luck. But she's just designed to push this whole Me Too movement and act like Trump's the abuser of women and not Hollywood that she is a front person for. Now, joining us is a best-selling author and researcher, Michael Malice, michaelmalice.com. He grew up behind the Iron Curtain, so he understands the tyranny of collectivism. He's at Twitter at Michael Malice. He's written Dear Reader, Kim Jong-il, and he's been over there and researched it. I've read the book, very powerful. But the reason he's here is we're told Trump's mentally ill when Kim Jong-un said a few weeks ago, I have the nuclear button on my desk, and I am preparing to preemptively blow the U.S. up. Well, the U.S. could actually nuke him at that point for making another threat, pointing a gun at somebody and saying, I'm going to pull the trigger. Well, even if you're not intending to, I have a right to pull mine and take you out before you do. You have the weapon. You've made the threat. You've tested it. You're pointing it at me. Okay. I am clear in present danger. So I can defend myself. But Trump just said, we have a bigger button and it works. Saying, hey, we're ready to stand up against you. That is a very measured statement. They say the president's mentally ill, an idiot, a buffoon. A top real estate mogul, top golf course mogul, top TV guy, the biggest in reality TV history. Genetically, you look at somebody, he's successful. He's what, 4 or 5 kids? So he runs for president the first time and wins against all the odds. And they call the president a loser and mentally ill. Well, then I want to be mentally ill too. Then Trump said, you know, I think it's kind of genius that I ran and I've done all these things. I think that's genius. Well, success is the mark of intelligence, okay? And navigating all this, I mean, I don't want to call myself a genius, but if they're calling me mentally ill or saying I have Alzheimer's, the antidote isn't to say, oh, I'm really doing a great job. My mind's all there. No, Trump knows you go to the other extreme and say I'm a genius. Well, I think it is genius how he's defeated the mainstream media, the globalist, how he's brought the economy back with the people's help, how he's turned all of their attacks against him. Michael Malice, I mean, this is not a worship Trump fest, as everybody knows. I've been critical on him on letting Sessions go on this anti-marijuana jihad while the opiates kill everybody. And I don't like going back on the Afghan deal and a few other things. But overall, it's almost messianic what he's done in less than 1 year. I want to get into North Korea, but just, you know, as a political analyst and writer and researcher and a pundit on Fox News, you name it, I mean, it's almost embarrassing how much I want to gush over Trump, but, I'm gushing over the truth here. Or do you disagree?
Well, what I'm excited about as someone who spends a lot of time trolling on Twitter is that he announced that he's going to have awards for the most dishonest people in media. I mean, this is kind of unprecedented. In a way, he's innovating how presidents communicate with the population, which is something FDR did back with the fireside chats back in the day. And the press is going crazy because people like you and many citizen journalists don't need the media. They are bypassing them, and they're getting their messages directly. The guy from Univision, I'm blanking on his name, Jorge Ramos, he recently said in an interview, he's like, I hate Twitter because now people insult me every day and call me names. It's like, yeah, back in the day, you can sit on your high horse and condemn people and mock Americans who don't agree with you. And this is from both sides to some extent. And now they're saying, no, you're the idiot, you're the jerk, you shouldn't be talking down to us. And they don't know what to do with themselves. I mean, it's like kind of when I was in university and had all these college professors who were very holier than thou, and I, had my fun putting them in their place. They couldn't handle it because they had their tenure and they don't have to answer to anyone. And that's not the American way. I mean, one of the great things about this country is everyone is held accountable. You don't have this kind of caste system where people are above the commoners and never have to respond. This is exactly what we were fighting against.
Well, as you know, Edward Bernays, the modern father of propaganda, he changed the name from Department of War to Department of Defense. He ran the whole modern feminist movement to get women to smoke cigarettes. That's all declassified, saying it's feminist smoke cigarettes because women didn't smoke them before, and so hundreds of millions have died because of that being trendy. But he created the modern award shows, as you know, going back to the 20s and 30s, to make politicians look like Hollywood and Hollywood look like politicians, to then give each other awards and literally grandstand. So the fact that Trump's turning it around, their award shows, making it a roast to make fun of them, it's going to have bigger ratings than the Oscars. They postponed it, as you know, yesterday from today to the 17th, so that it has time to build up. And it's just pure genius how he's taking the narrative away. So is it not pure genius? I mean, that is genius.
Well, it's just amazing to me how these women who think that putting on a black dress just like everybody else are being brave in front of cameras, When what would have been brave is if they had said something back in the day behind closed doors and done something about it. And what's really funny to me is, Alex, you get often attacked. People want to discredit you as a conspiracy theorist. There was a conspiracy to defend Harvey Weinstein. There was a conspiracy to defend Danny Masterson and Kevin Spacey and many of these others. This was an active movement in Hollywood to keep these people protected, and now it's been exposed.
That's right. Here it is. British actress says Weinstein used Oprah as bait for sex. Oprah duped her into thinking Weinstein would help her career, says actresses, and now more are coming forward. She would bring little flies to the spider when she wasn't sticking her tongue down his ear. Okay, Michael Malice is a best-selling author, researcher, journalist, expert on authoritarianism. He's written the best-selling book on North Korea, and that's why I originally wanted to get him on. And I'm not, again, trying to pontificate on Trump, but saying he's addled and an idiot when he has more energy than most 25-year-old men and is super smart in my conversations with him. I can't believe how smooth he is, how he finishes my sentences. You think I'm obnoxious interrupting people. Trump can, guess what you're about to say. And then they're saying he has Alzheimer's. And why not say, hey, nobody's been able to get North Korea in decades. Not just 2 years. 2 years since the hotline, but decades since they said, let's have real talks with the South. By Trump not playing along like the Clintons did and everybody, he's brought them to the table. That is genius. So again, Michael Malice, author of The Dear Reader about North Korea. Give us your expert take on where we are right now and the chances for war over there.
Well, let's go back to, you and I, Alex, are old enough to remember Reagan. Remember when Reagan was going to be sworn in, he's this crazy cowboy and Soviet Union's going to nuke us. And, there are all these new wave songs that we dance to about mushroom clouds and we're all going to be living under radioactive fallout. That's not what happened. You remember perfectly well, both Reagan and Gorbachev committed to peace, and the Soviet Union fell peacefully without a shot being fired in 1989 through 91. And this was the greatest pro-liberty thing that happened in our lifetime. And yet, if you listen to them in 1980 and 81, it would have been, literally the world was going to end. And we heard this constantly. How many books were published? The Coming Nuclear Holocaust and so on and so forth. Now, we remember very clearly in last summer, North Korea said they were going to nuke Guam. Last I checked, Guam is still here. Now, North Korea, people admit very clearly that it's a country like no other. If you want to be boorish about it, you can call it a freak show, or you could call it an outlier if you want to be fancy about it. The point is, there's no other country like it. There's no other country as bad as North Korea. So the idea that we should be speaking them the way we would speak to our friends, the UK, or to our rivals, Russia, it doesn't necessarily hold true. That's kind of a non sequitur. The idea, I would say, is talking to them like any other country. It's not intuitive that would work at all. And in fact, when you have a country that's blatantly saying explicitly, we're going to nuke America, that our organic response should be, thank you, sir, may I have another, that doesn't follow either. Not even Saddam Hussein was threatening to nuke us.
That's right. And let me ask you this then. I mean, Trump has had to basically get it lined up where it looked like war was about to happen. And they've definitely got the assets in place. I think
let me just say one more point. Let me just say one more point. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Alex. When he had that tweet about North Korea has a button, and I have a bigger, more effective button, and everyone's clutching at their pearls, does anyone think North Korea didn't realize that we have a bigger nuclear arsenal with them? Does anyone think that Kim Jong-un isn't painfully aware that we can destroy North Korea? They know this perfectly. They talk about it in their literature all the time. They're not stupid. They're a very, very evil country. But there's no country on earth that isn't aware that we have the world's largest nuclear arsenal. This is not a secret.
Well, that was actually my next question, is studying North Korea, who really runs it and why are they so evil? Why are they so selfish? Why don't they just reform? What is wrong with them?
Well, I talk about this heavily in my book. If you look at these countries, Libya is a great example, Iraq, and several others. When the countries liberalized, Romania was the example Kim Jong-il himself used. When these countries liberalized, very often the people at the top are shot, and with good reason. You look at Gaddafi, he was sodomized to death. Saddam Hussein was hung, and Libya had a nascent nuclear program. They agreed to give it up, and what happened is right now you have slavery there. So North Korea very quickly realizes the best defense is a good offense. Kim Jong-il said he wants to turn the country into a hedgehog, meaning one with nuclear missile spines pointing in every direction. And if you think about it, how much easier, I don't think they would have been running their mouths to this point if they didn't have nukes or at least some very, very strong weaponry. Something would have happened to him. So they are very conniving in their hold on power. They're very interested in self-preservation, and unfortunately, it's at the expense of the 25 million North Korean population who are the victims in this horrible, decades-long atrocity.
Don't they know the calculus has changed, and that the whole strategy of patience and then the globalists using North Korea as a strategy of tension, that is coming to an end?
It is coming to an end, and they're scared, and they're clearly scared, and you see that they're reaching out to South Korea, their arch rival, in some kind of, because China very publicly last year and in the recent months has been turning their backs on them. Russia, to some extent, has been turning their backs on them. Putin liked the idea that North Korea could kind of be a thorn in our side, but even he's not going to be defending, concentration camps and starving children for political purposes. He's a far cry from Stalin. So North Korea has been an international embarrassment, especially for China, although they do serve a purpose, but China wants to have this dignified appearance. The Olympics, is there any bigger symbol of global cooperation? That South Korea is having the Olympics now. This is, every country is turning their back on the North, and they don't know what to do. This is kind of uncharted territory for them, thank God. And I'm not saying this is the end of the North Korean regime, which I pray every day that it is, but if this were the end, this is what the end would look like.
And we know the strategy of letting them get better and better weapons and better delivery systems is what's brought us here. So that's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again, thinking you'll get a different outcome. I mean, I see what Trump's doing as the only sane thing. And now the fact that they are looking at negotiations, I think the sanctions are starting to break their back. What do you think?
Well, I mean, in the 90s, they chose to let 1 to 2 million people starve rather than let the UN in and give them food, because they said if the government isn't providing food, then the government would be superfluous. So this is a nation that is absolutely perfect in its immorality. But the fact that they're starting to remember, like last year, Donald Trump's a dotard, all these awful things about America, or saber rattling, and now they're like doves. Now you talk to them, they're like Bernie Sanders. They want peace and they're sweethearts. So something has obviously changed in their calculations. The fact is they've been around for 70 years. That is not an accident. They're clearly doing something right in their evil and in their torture. And now if they're having to change, it's because they were forced to change. And I think it was a combination of Trump, China, and Japan.
Maybe Trump's not a genius. Maybe the people running things have been complete out of control idiots. And now just because Trump isn't insane, that seems like it's genius.
Well, I mean, this is a tricky situation, because when you have a leadership that is content to hold its own population hostage, it's kind of like a bank robbery on a scale multiplied by 1,000,000. There's no easy answer. And you can't blame, at least I don't, Bill Clinton entirely for trying to pacify them and bribe them, and that worked to some extent for some time. But at the end of the day, how do you get someone who has absolute power to give that up? What incentive can you give him? There's very little we can give Kim Jong-un that would make his life better. So it's only a function of making things worse for him personally, because he does not care about his population.
And he is the very caricature of a fat little spoiled, rotten, weak demon. He is just the archetype of evil, and I just feel sorry for the people. I think you describe it the best, though, Mr. Malice. They are a hostage nation of just people who don't even know what planet they're on, and that's why they're the greatest victims, people under communism. Michael Malice, the book Dear Reader, available everywhere. Twitter, Michael Malice. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Alex.
We got big breaking news, a ton of it straight ahead on the other side. Stay with us. We'll be back. I've told the great guy that does our voiceover intros, don't make it sound like I'm all high and mighty. Do the voice where he just does it dry. I've had the same guy doing him for like 18, 19 years. But then kind of like announcing it like dun, dun, dun. It's a big deal. We are a big deal. You're a big deal. We've changed the world. We're taking on real scum and winning. We're promoting Americana and free market and prosperity and real diversity and real community. So I guess we might as well have some intros. They're like, dun, 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 because that's what Hollywood and the globalists do. They build themselves up as the biggest thing around. But it's just something in my style. I'm not like that, but I realize there's got to be a balance. Like, I should be more positive. So many people that I love and care go, man, you got to stop working sometimes and enjoy the good things in life. And I totally agree. But I can't go see a movie that isn't filled with propaganda. You can't go to a football game without there being a bunch of anti-American crap everywhere. So I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to be so angry. But we're getting run over here, folks. We're getting torn up. And now we're just starting to fight back, and the enemy is showing its real face. It's rearing its ugly head, and quite frankly, it's uglier than I even thought it was. But we really should celebrate, not just this broadcast, but everything you've done, other people that are fighting tyranny across the country and the world, because we have come so far. And, man, just 10 years ago, people didn't know the Federal Reserve was private. Just 10 years ago, people didn't know there was really a world government they were setting up. Everything we talk about now is just mainstream news. I was reading the financial news this morning, and it's like the private corporate world government's in trouble, and many are asking if the U.S. will just absorb all those systems now, and as China jockeys for control of the world government. And I'm like reading CNBC talking about world government, just like they're talking about the price of eggs or something at the grocery store. But then I thought, is that really victory? Or is that them now trying to demystify? Okay, yeah, there's a world government. Let's just not really worry about it. Nothing to... It's kind of like Caddyshack, where he's dropping plastic explosives down in the holes, and it's shaped like Mr. Squirrel, Mr. Rabbit. Hey, Mr. Gopher, nothing to worry about, like plastic explosives or anything. Because that's what this is like. We're just going to sexualize your kids. Okay, the UN openly says NAMBLA is right and sex with 5-year-olds should be legal. You know, when you actually pull back from these globalists, it's unbelievable that we got to this point. And I get why I sound completely crazy. Because it is completely crazy. I mean, it's crazy that Hollywood's a bunch of devil worshippers and Satanists. It's in the LA Times, just came out and admitted it. It's crazy to know that George Soros wants to create weaponized marijuana that's so strong you don't mind being a slave. And the media makes a joke out of it when I've read what the government's actually put out. And you're like, wait a minute, you're for marijuana or against marijuana? I'm for decriminalization. I don't want to put everybody in jail. I don't want to put nonviolent zombies in jail. But a lot of people I know that are big marijuana smokers, they're just not all there. Some people, studies show it really helps. But the reason I bring that up is let me cover this article. Because the minute I saw this headline, I already knew what the story was going to say because I'd read studies about this from the 60s when they were thinking about deploying marijuana on the general public to make us passive. And you can think, well, that's a good thing. Except they're deploying it to make us passive so that we'll live in worse living conditions. So again, you read about how they treat farm animals and you read about how the globalists operate, and then you got to understand they've got white papers for humans on what they're doing to animals. So let me cover this first. This is out of High Times magazine. Here's why scientists gave fish weed. And it goes in to say that they raise the fish, tilapia and other things, in tiny blue barrels, and that they try to kill themselves and kill others because they're living in filthy feces-filled sludge and have hellish lives, just like a chicken. You know, they have to cut their beaks off in the factory farms because they'll try to kill themselves with their own beaks. You know, folks, I'm not a PETA person because they're eugenicists that want to control the whole animal rights movement. But on the other end of it, you got to have major animal rights because we're eating this stuff that went through these hellish lives. The shrimp that's raised this way doesn't really have a big brain or anything, but it tries to kill itself as well. But these fish, they feel, and it's wrong. But the issue is it says they give them marijuana so that they're docile and accept living by the hundreds in small blue barrels. And so they just eat and drift to the bottom and crap on themselves. Well, Hillary called you a bunch of barista potheads in your mother's basement and said how much she hated you. Soros, admittedly, has gone for the whole marijuana movement, not the modern one to just legalize. He's the one that pioneered, look it up, what you now see in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Hawaii, the Ninth Circuit ruled you get a medical marijuana license for glaucoma, whatever it is. There's hundreds of great uses. It has a lot of great uses. If you're taking chemo and can't hold down food, what usually kills you is the not eating. They said, we're going to come take your guns. They send them letters. In Hawaii, they go, you got 1 week. In Pennsylvania, they said, you got 3 days. Look it up. And I tell the marijuana people this. I've been on some of the big marijuana shows, and they can't even get upset about it. Because they're all just programmed to get upset about, you know, the right wing trying to keep me away from my weed, and it's the savior of Earth, and, you know, it's a religion to them. And they don't want to hear that the left is coming after them. And it makes it a lot harder to wake them up when Sessions comes out and says, we're going to overturn 20-something state laws, and we're going to arrest medical marijuana users, and we're going to, it's horrible. And it's one of the worst things Trump's done, and it's catastrophic to Trump and populism, and it's downright un-American. The cops need to be busting people on the deadly opium, and people selling heroin to kids, and people selling methamphetamine need to be thrown under the prison. We need to make marijuana something that is useful but dangerous, and the weaponized strains they've got. And you know, the media made fun of it in my custody battle and said, Jones says he only smokes it once a year. Yeah, right. Anybody that knows me knows that, hey, Alex, want to try some of this marijuana? No. I don't like it. Because it has the opposite effect of making me feel docile and relaxed. It makes me paranoid. I don't have fear until I smoke marijuana. I then suddenly start getting scared. I feel my breath, feel my heart beating. I don't like it. Now, sometimes I smoke it, it's not as bad. But the point is that it varies person to person. Some type A people might really help them. Some people that aren't very well motivated, it'll ruin your life. But read this article. Everyone knows cannabis is a big business, and the prospect of economic growth and opportunity, of course, is one of the most pervasive arguments of the case for legalization. From seed to smoke, the cannabis industry stretches across multiple sectors of the economy. But who could have guessed that weed attracted the attention of the agriculture industry as a means to increase profit margins? And what do they say? We're going to tranquilize animals to put them in horrible conditions. Well, that's why they're coming out with chickens that have no brains now, no upper brains. They won't kill themselves with their beaks. Fish farm weed will help fish chill out. It goes into how they kill themselves, how they're in total filth, how it's a nightmare scenario. And they go, oh, it doesn't matter. Let's just not make the pens bigger or happier. And then we demand an economy that scales up. Because the more quality you demand, the better you get as well. No, let's just drug them with weaponized marijuana. Well, that's what's being done to you. And it goes into their horrible conditions. It goes into it. And that's the whole plan. That's what the fluoride's about. It hits your sterilization as well. And it's all admitted. It's all admitted. That's why they're pushing weaponized weed. Okay? So we need to be balanced about it and admit the bad side of this.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
There's a lot of controversy around this network about Alex Jones.
Google is being accused of hiding negative stories about Hillary and her campaign by changing its algorithm to bury stories like the Clinton body count story. That's according to website Infowars.
It sounds like it's confirmed there are at least 2 shooters with fully automatic weapons.
Dr. Martin Luther King has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
JFK was shot from the back and the front.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
They took the babies out of incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
I think this is a national security imperative. We have clear things that we do not understand how they work, operating in areas that we can't control. UFOs.
Is this global governance that lasts? Is it one world? The central bank is in charge.
Israel claims the attack was accidental. Some former U.S. naval officers say it was on purpose. They describe the day's action as part of a continuing cover-up.
Russian intelligence compiled a dossier on Mr. Trump during visits to Moscow.
Russian scum!
Denied everything. He called it all fake news.
And he accused CNN of being fake news.
This is a national emergency.
If they kill Trump or remove Trump, it will cause a massive civil war in this country.
This is a FEMA high level alert.
We are at war with Russia.
Are you aware that Mr. Stone also stated publicly that he was in direct communication with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks?
The White House and the president are citing Infowars.
If they can shut us down, you're next.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are solving history. We're exposing the globalist plan, and we're defeating it. There's no way you can set up this big, giant, private, corporate world government and then get away with it if there's opposition. But they arrogantly built it, acted like that by the time they got it in place, they'd have such a brainwashed TV head, internet, video game head population that they would be able to roll forward with TPP, all the rest of this stuff where they transfer all of our sovereignty out of the country, just like they did with the EU. Most countries never even voted to enter it. They just voted on trade deals that then politicians later changed in committee to take over. And Brexit's going to be a long process. Defeating the globalists is going to be a long process. But when you've got the nation state and the institutions that aren't perfect, but in the West, pretty darn good compared to globalism, and you've got the globalist corporations transferring our power to shadowy multinational groups that are tax exempt. I've had the CIA high level, I've had the FBI ask me, I've had top media, I've had a lot of people say, Jones, how did you engineer the main populist operation to trigger the chain reaction to bring down globalism? And I always explain, A, I didn't do that. There were people fighting it beforehand. I picked up on what they were doing, and I understood that it's going to look like it's invincible until it starts imploding. And then the minute it starts imploding, it's going to go quickly because it is the most top-heavy, delusional thing. How are you going to set up a private corporate world government where you're tax exempt and you are above the law and you have diplomatic immunity, and then you come into the nation state and teach people that they can't have prosperity and teach them a modern environmental movement to hate yourself when the globalists are exempt? Well, their only hope is to have cultural and 800-plus, InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. But whether it's the Real Red Pill, or whether it's Survival Shield, or whether it's Secret 12 now back in stock, or whether it's Super Male Vitality, or whether it's Alpha Power, it's all there, 50% off or more, but it's got to end. DNA Force is selling out. Myco ZX already sold out. The colloidal silver already had to get rid of that at 67% off because it's sold out at the regular price. Please commit to fund the operation. You are victory.
I was booked to talk about the very issues I'm just describing, and you're not even asking about them because they're not interesting facts to you.
That's not true. I have plenty of questions on immigration. You've attempted to filibuster by talking about your flights to the president. I want to ask you a question because
don't be condescending, Jake.
Stephen, the president and the White House.
The reason why I want to talk about
the president and the White House.
The reason why I want to talk about the president's experiences, what I've seen with him traveling to meet dozens of foreign leaders, with his incredible work.
Okay, you're not answering the questions.
No,
I understand.
You have 24 hours a day of anti-Trump material. You're not going to give 3 minutes for the American people to hear the real experience of Donald Trump.
There's one viewer that you care about right now, and you're being obsequious. You're being a factotum in order to please him. Okay. And I think I've wasted enough of my viewers' time. Thank you, Stephen. As Republicans, lawmakers call for Attorney General Jeff Sessions to resign in a major reversal, Democrats are now coming to his defense. What changed? We'll ask the top Democrat.
So that was Jake Tapper panicking this weekend and cutting the White House communications officer, Stephen Miller, off. And I've watched the whole interview. It was riveting to see him march into the devil's palace, right into hell, and stand up against those guys. And in the full clip, he gets into, hey, you're the ones that put out the fake quote that Trump directed General Flynn to meet months before he was even elected with the Russians, knowing it was fake. You're the ones that reported on and on and on and on and on, all this fake news. And Tapper didn't want to discuss it. He said, you're not answering our questions. He'd already been there 20 minutes answering all the questions. But they didn't want somebody to stand up for truth. It was Miller that could keep up with Trump when Trump was 70, now 71. It was Miller, 30-something years old. Then I researched Miller, and I remembered Miller. It's not about Miller or even Trump. It's about their path and who they are. And this is a guy in high school that was anti-communist, and it was against the left creating anti-white racism. He's a Jewish guy, but he recognizes race-based stuff, and he comes from a liberal family, and you know, from what I read, but he was like, oh my God, this is like Nazi, but it's against white people. So they call him a white nationalist because he's a guy that's anti-racist. He sounds like Martin Luther King, if you actually listen to Martin Luther King, but that's how far they've come. He destroyed him, and Tapper went to break early and didn't know what to do. Because a 31, 32-year-old person who's actually immersed in things and researches everything had every angle of what they were about to try and what they were about to do. And then I began to see it was Miller would transcribe what the president said and say, what about this, sir, and add a point or two. And it was Miller. And what's crazy is, that's what's crazy, is I know Trump isn't word for word copying my talking points. They're just truth. I'm so synced up, it's Miller I've been synced up with, because I can say stuff at the same time. I found Miller giving... You know, we had a great guest on earlier, Michael Malice, about North Korea. And he's written a whole bunch of books, and Ghost's written even more. He's very prolific. And I kept saying, isn't it genius that Trump got North Korea after 20-something years to finally call? It'd been 2 years since they used the hotline. But it'd been 22 years since they had decided they wanted to have peace talks and talk about how they wanted to work on the Olympics coming up. And he didn't want to say it was genius because nobody wants to completely wade in and just say Trump's doing a great job. Everybody kind of wants to hedge their bets. And I get that and I understand that. But Trump isn't hedging his bets for us. And so because he is so attacked, he is so viciously lied about, I want to really stand with the president. I want my John Hancock, when I walk up and I see George Washington's signature on that, putting his life on the line, I want to sign big, Alex Jones. Big. And I'm not doing it to be the big man on the paper. I'm doing it because everybody else is putting a risk on themselves, so I'm not going to hide. We're going to do this. We're going to put ourselves right in the enemy's way. And so that's what I want, is I'm looking for the enemy. I'm looking for the fire. I'm looking for their attack. I'm like a heat-seeking missile that as they fire on me, that's where I know to go. But let me tell you, I am shaken by how consciously evil Hollywood and mainstream media are. I mean, I used to think that only the top was evil. And I think, you know, decades ago when I was first researching, that was the truth to a certain extent. But now the evil, as everyone recognizes that's awake, is growing. And that's why we finally see an awakening all over the world. I am so proud of the Czech Republic and Hungary and Romania and Poland and other areas where Europe's saying you're all going to take millions of Islamicist men every year and you're going to put full-grown men, calling them children, in your high schools and your middle schools, and you're going to let them do all this, or we're going to fine you 100,000 euros per person that you don't let in. And so these countries are all saying, go ahead and do it. We're leaving the EU. And you read what these leaders are saying. I mean, I spent hours the last couple weeks just reading what the Hungarian and the Romanian and the Polish and the Czech president and now the Austrian president and now now even Northern European countries are weighing in, saying we're going to be first for our country. We're not going to be... This isn't like diversity where you let some people in for the melting pot that America is. This is where the globalists bring in people they know will not assimilate any and who are there to take you over so they can be used as the proxy army to take control. That's what this is. And my greatest frustration is that in every case, they are completely and totally out in the open about it. but there was an Austrian prince who over 100 years ago developed the plan to repopulate Europe with the Middle East. And they've got that plan, and it's way beyond that now. And it's just incredible when you realize that it's a cult that's anti-Christian. And you read the writings from 100 years ago, and they say, we don't want to be Christian anymore. We want to get rid of that. And then you go and you read what the UN says today, and you read the universities, and it's the wildest stuff. All whites are bad. All Christians are bad. White women should abort their white babies. And then I saw a photo. It's in the Twitter. I tweeted it like Saturday, if you guys can pull it up, or Sunday. I saw a mural on the wall at a place called Waterloo Ice House. It's a pretty good little diner. And I'd been going in there for years, but I never really noticed it just because it was just nostalgic Americana. I guess an ad for Red X beer, Red Cross. They'll pull it in a minute. And it's a man who's been playing golf and a woman with his golf card, his tee card, is handing him a beer, and he's handing in his card, and then his wife is kissing him. So it's the image of a woman bringing you a glass of beer, you just played golf, and your beautiful wife or girlfriend's kissing you. And it's sexist, it's racist, it's everything. And then I knew when I tweeted it, of course it isn't sexist or racist, it says it's lucky when you live in America. It's also nationalistic. And because they're white, it's white nationalist. And now I noticed in the comments, leftists said, oh yeah, you're crazy. Lucky Logger's not even around anymore, as if that even mattered. And no one's trying to take stuff down like this. And you could pull up 1,000 articles where they're saying, we don't want ads with only white people in it, or there's too many white people in Hollywood, or, and it's the white saying that's creating racial division, or, we don't want to see images of women wearing dresses. Go see the new Star Wars movie. Women are in charge 100% of the rebel forces. And again, I don't mind seeing women in charge of something. It's force-fed as an agenda to get women out of the home, having children, having a base, having a family. So everybody's in the factory, and the state raises the kids, and the children don't thrive, living in these little cradles and getting all their vaccines and getting their formula that the scientists came up with so women wouldn't be needed anymore. They're getting rid of women. They're getting rid of the species. It's their stated plan. But I love how the left, you can pull up thousands of examples of them saying, take down Martin Luther King. He didn't mention gay children in All God's Children up on the mountain together in I Have a Dream. Or take down the mural of football players. It's too masculine. It's toxic. They're taking, or Lynch Hall. The word lynch scares us, so get rid of it. It's all an exercise of power. Or the white kid's got her elbow on the black girl in the ad, so that means she's subservient, so take out that. And they're just creating mass mental illness and saying, we don't want to get rid of Christmas, even though they're saying happy holidays everywhere and telling kids don't call it Christmas and don't hand out Christmas cards. But then every time I say, look, the war on Christmas, all these leftists go, it's not happening, it's not happening. But they know it's a formula. I learned the average leftist isn't conned. They know they're doing it, but they're there to make you feel alone and to ridicule you. It's in the Facebook documents, the Twitter documents, these brigade trolls they hire. They go out. You could say the sun came up this morning, and they'd say, no, it didn't. And they're just all there because they're all peer pressure driven. So they think you're peer pressure driven. They think I'm peer pressure driven. And so they're there to make us feel alone. Oh, nobody's trying to take down nostalgic stuff. Nobody's trying to get rid of culture. Nobody's trying to do this or that. When you go to those universities across the board, it is the most virile, racist, anti-family, anti-human crap you ever heard. And I'm not giving the, quote, minorities a pass on this just to be a virtue signaler. It's true. They're 90% led by rich white kids whose parents are corporate chiefs. We've done the math on them, and they're there controlling the next generation and getting in place, and they know exactly what they're doing, and it's a scientific operation. And that's the scary revelation, is that just like I went 18 years ago to a smart growth conference, and I kept saying, hey, here's the documents. It's meant to take land away and put people in small apartments and charge them more property tax and take control and shut down other people's land to make this land worth more. And they would go, get out of my way. Of course we know that, idiot. It was such a joke, this group of ravenous, sociopathic, psychopathic control freaks, that they were all there just battling to get a seat at the table, robbing everybody, robbing the farmland, robbing the ranches, raising the property taxes, being exempt. And I was just like, oh my God, they're most of them are totally conscious and evil. They all run their cities and counties and states, and they are criminals. And off the record, they go, of course we're criminals, you moron. Get out of my way. And now the average leftist is a criminal, just like when Gruber would have those meetings and they're there at the meetings going to teach us how to lie. The average person is trying to join them and just begging, holding out a sign saying, I want to be evil. This just in, and it ties into what we were just breaking down. James Damore just filed a class action lawsuit against Google saying it discriminates against white male conservatives. Well, they teach that white males are inherently evil. And that's taught at every major university in the country. I have a good friend who was a Hollywood editor for a while and then came back to get another degree. I've known him since college in psychology. And he's a liberal Jew. And they told him in there, inherently, you need to leave, and all white males need to leave. And these were mainly white women saying this, because you are inherently evil. And so there's some lawsuit going on with that now. And they will straight up tell you that you are inherently bad. And so that's the way this stuff works. Google fires diversity manifesto author James Damore for wrong think. I want to get him on. I really want to push to get him on. I guess Google needs to keep up the left wing's ideological reign of terror. And expanding on that, when I went and saw Star Wars The Last Jedi, it wasn't that every woman was a commander and then 7, 8, 9, 10 deep. It was just all women. It was like a caste system. It was reversing roles. If you think men in the military, you know, is wrong only, and now you've reversed it. There's this thing, well, you know, we got to go out and kill some white people because we got to get payback. Most white people, their ancestors came here after slavery. And most people that had family here before slavery was ended, 2% of the population had slaves. And then it goes into whites being slaves, the sharecroppers, on and on and on. So, again, it's not about including a black guy as a hero. It's not about including a woman as a hero. It's about a complete forced message. But here's the most important thing. The men are wrong about their strategy. The women are right. And this is the most important thing. You're treated to women being blown up and killed over and over and over again. And what they're saying is women are expendable. Well, here's the thing in all of human development and all other development. Whoever's home taking care of the babies needs to be protected. And if you're not taking care of the fortress, the base, the home, the village, then as a species, you don't survive. And this is an attack on our biology first and foremost. And it's an admitted program. It's in the Facebook documents. It's in the WikiLeaks that there's an attack on the family, not just the nuclear family. There's an attack on the species, and I can't keep saying that enough. And so they're building a world where women and men are all alone, where my daughters have no future, 3 daughters, where my son has no future. Together, we're one species. And that's why Cenk Uygur of the Young Turds saying, you know, and I understand as an Islamicist and a Muslim and a guy from Turkey, some folks are nice from Turkey, that, that they believe women are subhuman and stuff, but he's come out, and said he's sorry for the comments. But women have an extra chromosome and women have extra set of DNA. And I want to it's not a patronizing women. It's a fact that all of us are women at the first stages of embryonic behavior. Sure, Cenk Uygur would have been a very ugly woman, but he's a man. And the point is that embryonically he changed into a man from a woman. So again, the idea, ladies and gentlemen, the idea that this guy funded by the Gulf states and all the rest of it The idea that these people are going to sell you on how to be virtuous and how to be good and how to be a wonderful person is a complete fraud. They're only there to sow deceit. By the way, since they pulled it up on screen for TV viewers, I might as well play this. They said Alex Jones is mentally ill, just like they declared the president mentally ill, and just sit there shaking their heads about, what are we going to do? I don't know. You blew up at me and spit iced tea on me and screamed and yelled and called me fat and ugly and everything else, fat shamed me, which you say, you know, is criminal, basically, whenever you were in public and waved me up to the stage and then said you hadn't done it, and said I was behind the stage, like in your own building, when you were in a public area where the press was, and 5 feet away there were other booths. And you claim Roger Stone ran up on the stage when he says, no, I'm not coming on your show, and leaves. Just all lies. They don't understand satire when I go, Stelter is literally the face of evil. He runs your life. He runs your culture. He wants to control you. I'm saying the media. Stelter is the archetype. You know, he looks like the Subway guy. And I just said, why does the Subway guy look so evil? Why does Stelter look so evil? Why does Michael Wolff look so evil? Okay? And then they turn this into this whole thing to deceive their viewers, to not know what having some fun is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I believe Stelter's evil. Yes, I said culturally they're bleeding us dry, so they're drunk on the blood of our children's future. And they go, oh, you're being an actor. No, I have fun. When I'm being 100% clear, I'm 100% clear. When I let myself off the chain, I'm having fun saying that photo of him with that crazy looking smile, not knowing how creepy it looks. And Stelter even tweeted and said, thanks for using a nice photo of me. Nice photo. That could be the cover of American Psycho too. I mean, it's creepy, and it really triggers me. But these folks can't even tell the difference. So if I'm crazy and Trump's crazy, thank God we built our own operations. We didn't get money from Qatar or from Gulf state dictatorships, bro. Self-made. So remember that. And, you know, Al Gore gave you money. So, you know, in between writing stuff about how women are genetically inferior, I understand. Durka Durka Muhammad Jihad. Let's go ahead and play them freaking out. Here it is.
I used to kind of laugh at Alex Jones and his lunacy because I thought, you know, it's partly an act. But the next video like really concerned me the most. It made me super uncomfortable because I feel like there's something wrong, okay? Anyway, take a look at the video.
Disingenuous, fake, false, broke back, twisted, a defiler, a betrayer, a backstabber, a devil. You will pay. Yeah, you think I don't see your face, scum? You don't think I don't see you, Stelter? I see you. You understand me? I know what you think of me and my family. I see you right back. You understand that? You understand that, Stelter? Stelter, you will fall. God, bring humanity down. God is going to destroy you. Get him off the screen. God, they're so evil. Just please, God, free us from them. They hate that. I mean, everything I said, but I did it blood for God's sake. Okay, I'm going to stop right now.
I think the Trump administration paid him off to do this to distract you from that book.
Yeah. Wow.
That sounds personal, though.
That was terrifying.
He said broke back, which was calling him gay.
Yes.
And then he says, I know what you think about my family. Like, it sounds really personal, right?
That's right.
It sounds very...
I called him gay? They've got this obsession where I go, man, they want us to, you know, pay for people to burn their eyes out because they identify as blind, or they want to have sex with your car, and they're trying to create new acronyms for that. And they go, oh, he's anti-gay. He doesn't want us pouring Drano in people's eyes. You're the ones that are crazy. You're the ones trying to finance. I'm not paying for your sex changes. That's not because I'm anti-gay. But it's not like you calling me anti-gay hurts me. It's just, I'm just pointing out what liars you are, Mr. Women are Subhuman, Mr. Islamic Pig Man. We'll be right back with the Islamic Pig Man. I had one goal, and that was to get that particular mug in looking like the Joker everywhere.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And it got picked up all over the news. And we just watch our audience swell, even though they try to censor us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Our actual streams, our podcast, our radio stations, the ratings were just Because what we do is we go out and punch the globalists in the nose and say stuff like, wow, Brian Stelter looks like the former Subway guy. Just saying. And why do they all have that same fake, crazy-looking smile? Him, Wolf, all of them. So how did the Young Turds leader, Cenk Uygur, the Young Turks Islamicist, I mean, it's a fact. The Young Turks were like the Hitler Youth of Turkey that rounded up and killed the Christians. And then he plays dumb about the name of it. And then he says it's anti-Semitic. Brian Stelter isn't even Jewish, and I don't even know about the Subway guy or the other guy. I'm not the one that's anti-Israel like Cenk Uygur, or Ugarit, or Sinker, Jinker, Mooger, Booger, whatever his name is. And again, this guy, funded by Al Gore, funded by George Soros, funded by Gulf state dictatorships. Remember when they were funded by Al Jazeera? I mean, it's just got bought by Al Jazeera. And then they sit there pushing their garbage. Force-fed by YouTube, force-fed by Google. That's going to be in the whole antitrust investigation. Their whole thing's falling apart now that videos and also audio has come up of them fat-shaming, saying horrible things, saying women are subhuman. I mean, Cenk Uygur, I think that's how you actually say his name. I mean, he literally wrote, look at these 15-year-old slut whores. Yeah. Yeah. Well, pull up the articles. Women are subhuman and something wrong with them. Well, move to Saudi Arabia then, Jack. There's something great about women. That's why you'll find me hanging out with women, not with men. You don't like women because you're a big, fat, ugly slob just like Harvey Weinstein. You just want to flop around like a big demonic porpoise and run our lives and come here with your whole Islamic takeover. Oh, just like Turkey wasn't Islamic until they uncloaked and then, rah, jihad, take all that. But he tells you his name right up front. There's the quote, obviously the genes of women are flawed. They're poorly designed creatures who do not want to have sex nearly as often as needed for the human race to get along peacefully and fruitfully. No, they just don't want to have sex with you, bro. Women, don't worry, want to have sex with good guys. You're not it, bro. Anyways, he's a pig. His wife's a CPS worker. I mean, he is the literal example of an Islamic hog. A radical hog that just thinks he's going to run everybody and take our openness and rub our faces in it. By the way, I got stacks of news about Somalis and Muhammad being the #1 name in Minnesota and the stabbings and the murders and the death, and they won't even arrest the Somalis now when they stab people screaming Allah Akbar, and it's almost always a woman walking a dog or a woman that won't date them. And then they're like, you may go free, you're allowed to kill us because that's your culture. Hey, why don't you go to Somalia, buddy? They believe women are subhuman too there. So again, he's triggering as well. But he's more of like a stupid electroshock therapy victim. Okay? I mean, this is the best the enemy can offer up and force feed us. The young turd. And so Brian Stelter, this known liar, this known yellow journalist, the guy that calls me a virus that says I should be taken off the air. See, did I say Stelter should be taken off the air? No, I said Stelter has the look in criminology known as the Joker. When a psychopath doesn't know how they look and they're trying to smile, they always have that smile. And I'm not a psychopath, so I can't do it. I am a maniac. I'm a berserker. I love liberty. I'm ready to fight intellectually. But let me just try it. Can't even do it. It's like a... Is he gonna? I can't even do it. I mean, I just can't do it. I mean, can you imagine if that guy came to your door wanting to date your daughter? And so how do they counter me saying, I know you don't like me. I know you hate me. The globalists say they hate flyover country. They say they hate Christians. They say they hate conservatives. They say they hate everything we stand for. All these people do. They're hired by the globalists to take over and destroy it. So, of course, they got to hire scum that's into this stuff. that already had some chip on their shoulder and wanted to pull down something that they have class envy of. I mean, I get the Islamists just want to burn down the West and take it over and put the women back with hoods on their heads and sell them on slave blocks because they're genetically inferior, according to you and your master male race theory. And that's why Linda Saussure and the Islamicists are force-fed by your network and by the left, because they're going to bring women into total bondage and you know, out of the West, out of freedom, where the West is all about the goddess. You want to get really occultic. I mean, what you have is a satanic, monotheistic, anti-female system coming into the West that's Christian and Judeo, but also in its base ethos, goddess worship. That's what our country's named after. It's what Europe's named after. It's what's on top of all the buildings. It's what it's all really about is chivalry and women. And you come in, a big bloated jihadi, and you tell us how you're going to take care of the women, you spiritually ugly creature. Because you're a stunted demonic blob. You know you're fallen. Now, let's continue back with the Stelter breakdown where they announce I'm insane. What, for pulling your chain and half the other Soros media? Yeah, I'm real insane, like a fox, you creature. Let's go back to it.
Wow. That sounds personal, though.
That was terrifying.
He said broke back, which was calling him gay.
Yes.
And then
hey, back that up again. Broke back. Back it up to when they start talking after I talk. Broke back. Broke back means weak. Broke back means no will. Broke back means controlled by other people. Let's look up the definition of broke back. Not from the Urban Dictionary, because, you know, gay used to mean a gay day. He was a gay lad. We had a gay time until it became the new word. A fag used to be a burning ember cigarette. They still call it that in England. People will walk by and hear, hey, look, it's a box of fags. But again, if I wanted to call him gay, I would call him gay. I called them broke back, weak, pathetic, scum, liars. Let's continue.
The Trump administration paid him off to do this to distract you from that book.
Yeah. Wow.
That sounds personal, though.
That was terrifying.
He said broke back, which was calling him gay.
Yes.
And then he says, I know what you think about my family. Like, it sounds really personal, right?
That's right.
It sounds very passionate. Maybe they had a little romantic rendezvous and he's upset about it because he was like...
Pause again. The left all came, hundreds of reporters, trying to move the jury to take my children away from me. They failed. And they said I shouldn't have kids, and these very shows said it. So they all played dumb when his wife is a CPS operative. So they all sit up there playing dumb. They know exactly they hate our families. They hate bitter clingers. They hate flyover country. And they personally tried to destroy my life. And these scumbags talked about it themselves, but now they're going to play dumb. Let's go back to the guy whose ancestors took down Constantinople and turned it into an Islamic hellhole. Let's go back to him. Let's go back to the guy that, hey, you know what, I'll give Sink this. You have conquered the heart of Christendom, the Eastern Empire. You actually almost took down Christianity. So I'll say that. You're a dangerous foe, you young Turk. Let's go back to him.
That's what Alex was expecting.
Yeah, because he said
Brian's married.
There's a very scary and concerning level of paranoia there. Yeah.
Hit pause. I hate you. I know you hate me. No more games. You are the enemy. Got that, scum? You got that? You acted real tough when there was about 15 of your crew threatening to kick my ass. I was so scared, too. At that point, I was laughing at you all to punk you. I was in control, not you. Not you. Now go back to Istanbul, what you've already captured. You will not capture this area. By the way, they admit over 1.5 million Armenians were exterminated by the Young Turks. Shink says it never happened. We are back live. I'm your host, Alex Jones. Newswars.com, Infowars.com. When you see a live feed or a live link on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, Infowars.com/show, share those links. That's how we win the fight against complete charlatans like Shink Uger and his vassal minions. By the way, we pulled up the definition of brokeback. It means failed. It means hunchbacked. It means defeated. And so the mainstream media is brokeback. They're still alive, but they're brokeback. They're no good. But again, the globalists expropriate all terms and then make them politically incorrect. Then I talk about how the media and the globalists run our system. And they go, oh, he said bank. Doesn't he know Stelter isn't a Jew? They're the ones bringing Jews into this. And again, it's the left that doesn't even want Israel to exist. So again, that's all they've got. You're a Nazi, you're this, you're that. When it's Oprah Winfrey heading up a depopulation of Africa program for Bill and Melinda Gates, and it's in the Wall Street Journal. But that's okay, because she's the Black Hillary. She's the high priestess of death. She's the sellout. She's the one, we just tweeted at Real Alex Jones earlier, sticking her tongue in Harvey Weinstein's ear publicly, but telling all other men they're bad. But Harvey Weinstein, you're good. And Meryl Streep, you're right, pedophilia is good. Remember Meryl Streep? You're in the middle of the Roman Polanski thing trying to get his conviction overturned for kidnapping and raping a 13-year-old girl. Of course, under Islam, Turkey's making it legal to have sex with 9-year-old girls and make them pregnant. Turkey is moving to legalize it. Their high court just opened it up because Muhammad had a wife that was 9 years old. She had a baby when she was 10, but Isha. And so Sink's going to teach us all about how to take care of the women when he writes in these articles about how there's deficient genetically. No, I think... I don't know, buddy. I don't know if you can have a baby or got a second set of DNA or any of that. I don't think so. But anyways, let's get back to him because I've spent too much time on it. I've got some other news I want to hit. It's just that looking at the level of baloney is entertaining and how scared they are, because I'm invoking the name of Jesus Christ. I'm talking about God, and a God that's going to stand up against them. And they don't want us to have that. They want us to be godless so their Islamic power, that's what the Young Turks is an Islamic leftist program, can take us over. And of course, they try to hide it. Oh, we're really liberals. Oh, yeah, no. You know, we talk about that all the time. Saudi Arabia. Reasonable discussion. They're a pack of cowards. And they hate it because they're declining. They're falling apart. They're done. They're done. And they know it. All that Soros money, all that foreign Gulf state money dried up. All the Islamic money got dried up. Like what just happened with Trump and Saudi Arabia. Bye-bye money. Oh. No leftist programs ever survived that wasn't funded by some big foundation or some slick outfit. And you can't deliver. You can't win, Sink. That's why your own little leftist foundation's throwing you off the board and you're sinking like a young turd. A young turd who says the Armenian genocide didn't happen. Here, let's finish up that clip.
They had a little romantic rendezvous, and he's upset about it because he was like...
Or maybe that's what Alex was...
Back it up. I'm upset by the face of a psychopath, in my view. That look, not knowing that you look like a total demon when there's no humanity, not a real smile, it's totally fake. It's a smile of a narcissist preying on you. That face that he has, that Wolf has, that the Subway guy has, that look, I know it well. I've learned it to be the enemy. Was I a bit theatrical about my spazzing out about it? You bet. That's what I do, son. It's how Trump controls the news cycle, son. You were just given your stuff by Gulf states and propped up, force-fed by Google and everybody. You weren't successful in the world of talk radio with high ratings, the highest, #1 in Austin, to get launched and syndicated when I was 22. You don't understand running your own company. You understand how to be a minion of the Nazi collaborator, George Soros. Who, again, they have these shows saying, I'm crazy. Can we pull that up? Because the anti-Semitic thing's coming up. It was in Newsweek about 2 weeks ago. It said, Jones has new anti-Semitic attack on George Soros because George Soros happens to be Jewish. I say he's a Nazi collaborator. So talking bad about a Nazi collaborator is now anti-Semitic. And you read the article, and even the commenters went, he didn't say anything about Jews in here. He said George Soros was a Nazi collaborator. Alex Jones spins anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that George Soros created sexual misconduct allegations to hurt Trump. It's all come out in the WikiLeaks. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to them. Sorry.
They had a little romantic rendezvous, and he's upset about it because he was like...
Or maybe that's what Alex was expecting.
Yeah, because he said...
Brian's married.
There's a very scary and concerning level of paranoia there that... It's just, I don't know why people don't question that.
They don't want us to mark them as the plague. They don't want us to finally not just think they're funny or dumb or liars, but to really recognize they want to run our lives. Let's continue.
more, right? Like at first I was like, oh, it's an act. He's just trying to, but that video, that part of his video was what stood out to me most, because it went from kind of being entertaining to now, this is not funny at all.
You mean when you were spitting fluids on me and calling me fat and ugly and saying, get the F out of here, and saying Roger Stone, get out of here, when he's 30 feet away, standing in the walkway at the media center with booths everywhere, and then you lied and said he stormed your stage? I mean, should we play all that again? Continue.
Mental breakdown. I don't know if he's on some sort of like some serious drug. I don't know, right? But there's something. What I do know is there's something deeply wrong with that guy. That is not a normal rant. That's not somebody getting impassioned. That man has lost his mind, and it's the most obvious thing anybody's ever seen.
Yes, just like the President Trump's lost his mind and doesn't know what he's doing. That's why he just got massive tax cuts. North Korea came to the table, giant stock market, millions of new jobs, incredible, all these giant bonuses. Oh, it's so horrible. Best black unemployment ever. Lowest level of black unemployment ever recorded in the last 100 years. Zero Hedge has one since the 80s. I saw one going back since Bureau of Labor Statistics was founded, like 1920. Pull it up. Black unemployment. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, isn't it, bro? It's pretty crazy. Look how he's so upset. I know. You're not on over 200 radio stations and broadcast TV stations. Yes, all the money's drying up for the big man. The big caliphate doesn't get to happen as quick as you wanted, did it? And I talked about your little stelter. You can't even see what a psychopath stelter looks like. Or I love how they always blur the video when they play clips of me to make it look like it's super low quality. They always blur it, like make it look like I'm fat like he is. Oh, put that back up. Go ahead. African-American unemployment hits record low. CBS News. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go to their other clip. Here it is. It gets even better.
Look at these tropes, and I've seen these 1,000 times, and we've seen them in history. So he's a literal, and he said literal demon spawn of the pit of hell. And he said right before that, before my heavenly Father. So I'm a Christian, and what is he, right? And then he talks about he runs your kids, he runs the schools. That's super weird. I don't know what that means. But then
earlier I said he archetype of the media. I said this is the archetype, this is the poster boy for the enemy, for the globalists, clearly lying to his audience, showing a selective clip to deceive his prey. Remember, the women are subhuman. It's him. Women are incredible. Women are better than me. Women are subhuman. Here you go.
He runs the banks.
Yeah.
Why would Brian Stelter, who's a journalist, run the banks?
The psychopath.
Who runs the banks according
to
structure. Extreme right-wing ideology?
But
the Jews.
Is Brian Stelter Jewish?
He said he looks like Michael Wolff. Now, why are you talking about how he looks like Michael Wolff, right? And he says, you're the enemy. You're devil-worshipping filth. Right. These are the most common stereotypes there is. Now, I looked it up because I don't know. I don't think about those things, right? And it turns out Brian Stelter is not Jewish. He was raised Methodist. He married someone who's Jewish, but does Alex Jones know that?
No.
Okay, my guess is he thought those guys, right? And
pause again. Oh, those guys, the Islamicists you want to take over Israel and that George Soros wants to overthrow, and then we're not for blowing up Israel? But see, you can just portend everything now, and you understand when you are the Islamicist. Oh, you act like you aren't, but you call yourself the Young Turks. Let's continue.
So we're going to get more here in a second.
And they're the enemy. They want to get us Christians, and his group is the Young Turks that killed over 1.5 million Christians. By the way, we're brown, and are great people, just like the Turkish people, but an evil ideology. Let's continue.
Okay, my guess is he thought those guys, right? And so we're going to get more here in a second, and there's going to be more stereotypes, more of these tropes that you've seen in history. So this is some pretty dark stuff.
Oh my gosh. Hey, free shipping store-wide, last day to get it, biggest sales we've ever had on the high-quality fluoride-free toothpaste, Super Blue, Brain Force, Alpha, Power, Secret 12, Survival Shield, the Real Red Pill. We need your support now more than ever, InfoWarsStore.com. But whatever you do, keep spreading the articles, the videos, because it gets under the skin of Mr. Young Turks. Yeah. Mainstream media got it right. Corporate horse got it right. Alex Jones has launched a preemptive strike on Oprah 2020. And the fact that she's part of the Rockefeller eugenics operation is not going to bode too well for her. Wait till the black voters find out that she's running a depopulation operation in Africa. You know me, the evil white supremacist trying to keep the black folks from getting aborted and everything else. It's not because I'm a savior or anything. I just, anything I do to somebody else is going to come back on me. So even though I might not like what some groups are doing in general or hating me or whatever, I can't get on the level. Plus, some of our biggest fans are black folks. Some of the most woke people. Hispanics predominantly on the street all over the country are bigger fans than white people. Our biggest problem is all these little snot-nosed white people, I tell you. I don't mean that in a racist way. I just mean it. It is who's running a lot of it. It's all about control, though, because they understand it's a way to manipulate. And so many people don't want to produce. They want to just manipulate. Now, there's a bunch of clips I haven't gotten to. They got me a lot of good clips today, and I've been a bad, bad boy, and Jack Posovic's coming up. And we should play a lot of these clips today. I did play some of it, though, but where to begin? Wolf believes book will take down the president. Why don't we play that? I mean, again, talk about the arrogance of these people. He puts out this shoddy fable that he admits almost all of it. He doesn't know if it's true or not. He doesn't know if he quoted people right. Stephen Bannon, of course, 5 days after comes out and says, I'm sorry. Never denies the quotes, just says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that my blow didn't work. I'm sorry I was an egomaniac. I'm sorry that I brought the wolf into the White House. I'm sorry I did that. It doesn't matter. Wolf still thinks, see, perched up there in mainstream media that he will rule the day. He thinks it's the old days, back when he would still prey on people as a famous yellow journalist. But those days are coming to an end. They're already over. And the wolves of the world, though they celebrate each new lie they launch, each new lie falls on deafer and deafer ears. The future is ours. The future is solved if we simply embrace God's plan and be good, decent, honorable people. It doesn't mean going to church and telling people how good you are and listening to some little glitterbug preacher up there. But it really does mean not being a scumbag and not being jealous of people for no reason and not trying to scam people and treating people like you want to be treated. That's what it really comes down to. But it just shows the delusion of the sinking young turds and mainstream media and their whole broke-back system. We're rising despite all the censorship. They're falling. No one's reporting on them. They're reporting on us. They're not having congressional hearings about them. They're having them about us. Because we carry the light in the dark of the night, and we're willing to execute and not give up and not give in and not falter and not waver and not cower. Because I'll live on my feet, even if I die on my feet, than licking your big, fat Islamic rear end. And the poor Muslims are the biggest slaves of them all. But there's always controller bees. That's why the left and Islam are merging so well, that are in control. And it's just sickening. I've got this clip. We're going to come back and play here in a minute. Wolf believes book will take down the president. No, it'll be just on time when your Russiagate blew, out comes your new attack. And now the president's going to have the fake news awards the 17th. It got so exciting and so huge and so amazing, literally. They're so triggered by it that now he wants to up the production value and just have an extravaganza. And they're going to convulse and flip out and have Oprah say, how dare you attack our media? Why, it's fascism to not take the lies. You've got to take it. You can't fight back. Censorship is having your own speech. Liberalism means you have no speech. And Harvey Weinstein gets licked on. That's right. It's on Twitter, Real Alex Jones. It's a mainstream photo. It's real. Oprah Winfrey and her lust, her ravenous lust to lick the flakes of dandruff out of Harvey Weinstein's big, giant, ugly ears. All right, Jack Posovic's taking over in this fourth hour today. Great journalist, researcher, firebrand. I'm going to host a little bit of this segment with him. There's a few clips I haven't got to, and I want to get his take on things. But first off, let's play this clip of Wolf, Michael Wolf, believes book will take down the president. Like all the other, I'm sorry to use a gross analogy, but have you ever been to the zoo and monkeys are literally crapping and throwing it at you? And the whole Russiagate thing didn't work, and all the other, oh, Trump's not real, he's not going to deliver, that didn't work. And so now Michael Wolf has reached back there and gotten a big old, you know what, and he's throwing that. and he's finger painting with it on the walls, and he thinks he's really done something pretty. But I think all the king's horses and all the king's men aren't going to put this back together again. And it's been proven to be a total fraud. But to see how this is the best they've got, and to see Steve Bannon trying to apologize now, it's just a true Greek tragedy. Let's go ahead and play that clip of Wolfie.
You know, I think one of the interesting effects of the book so far is a very clear emperor has no clothes effect. That the story that I've told seems to present this presidency in such a way that it says he can't do this job. The emperor has no clothes. And suddenly, everywhere, people are going, oh my God, it's true. He has no clothes. That's the background to the perception and the understanding that we'll finally end this, that we'll end this presidency.
And yet, okay, this is the known yellow journalist charlatan. I mean, he's like one of the big names in disinfo and fake quotes and lies. He won't even stand by the book. He says Trump, in earlier interviews, is the most dishonest person ever. But that he fulfills all of his big pledges, tax cuts, trying to secure the border, massive new jobs, killing TPP. I'm not going to list it all. Record low black unemployment, record low unemployment, record new factory, small business startups, record stock market. And this guy just said he's the emperor has no clothes. Good Lord. It's like saying lead has no atomic weight, but the air does. I mean, this guy is empty air. Trump, if he fell on top of, he's like an anvil with Wile E. Coyote falls on your head. I mean, it's hit him right between the eyes. They are the broke back mainstream media. And then he just says, this is the catalyst. This will bring down the emperor that has no clothes. Meanwhile, the Trump knows his destiny's tied to delivering, and he is delivering. Jack Posobiec.
Great to be back, Alex. Thanks for having me on again. One thing I would really say about his book, in fact, two major points I take away from how this book is being spun. So first, Michael Wolff, the fact that he's saying my book is designed to end a presidency. There were never books written about Barack Obama like this. There were never books really written about George W. Bush like this, as much as the left hated him. What they're trying to do is to further that doubt, to further that deceit that Trump's presidency needs to be ended. It's a normalization of what they're looking for in terms of an impeachment process or possibly the 25th Amendment. I think what Wolff is more directly referring to is actually more of this 25th Amendment push that we've started to hear being talked about. Now, that's the one that has to do with the president being unfit for office and having to do with these mental instability attacks that we're now seeing from all throughout the mainstream media and all throughout people that are reading this book saying, oh, Trump doesn't come out of the executive residence until 11 o'clock, that Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He's just firing off TV. He's watching a guerrilla channel, which of course turned out to be fake, but people thought was real. This is their new line of attack on the president. They're saying he's not mentally stable enough to do that. President, of course, responding, saying that he was a top businessman, then a television star, then president of the United States on his first try. It doesn't exactly sound like someone who's mentally unstable. And also the 25th Amendment, here's the thing, they would need to get the president's cabinet and the vice president all to vote on this. That doesn't go through Congress.
Sure, and Roger Stone first broke back in March, April, and May that they were planning this from newspaper editors he talked to. They said the next thing will be 25th Amendment, mental instability. But a lot of people ask me, they say, are you funded by some big group? And I go, no, I'm part of the super deep state. That's the American people, Americana, the silent majority, that's coming back. Even though you were in naval intelligence, you weren't involved in the Trump campaign via naval intelligence. You were involved as a citizen. But the whole point is we're awake now, and no amount of their remnant criminal groups in the government, which is the deep state, the corrupt deep state, are going to defeat the real deep state that is Texas and New York and Alabama and Indiana and Oklahoma and all the other states and the people and folks that are awake now understanding what's happened and seeing prosperity come back. I mean, we still have a lot of problems. They still want to kill the president. But Jack, looking at the prosperity, look at Trump delivering, look at them lying in Gallup polls and others taking 10, 15 points out, oversampling Democrats. Despite that, he's 45, 46, 47 points. That means he's more like 55, 60 points. That's why they're really panicking. And I saw Oprah, Hollywood look so desperate. They look so pathetic. I mean, they are just, they're apoplectic. What are they going to do next?
Alex, they're clearly positioning Oprah for some sort of a queen maker role for 2020. I don't actually currently buy the talk that they want her to run or that she will run. Of course, we saw this NBC tweet last night.
She's the queen maker
Brian
for Elizabeth
Seltzer.
Warren, or
I guess
is she the queen?
This is breaking now.
I'm sorry,
saying that he wants to run, and Brian, I don't know what his sources are, but I actually don't think Winfrey runs. I think they're going to position her to endorse one of their already anointed candidates. I think they're going to use her to endorse someone like a Kamala Harris or an Elizabeth Warren, or possibly involved even with Mark Cuban. I keep hearing his name bandied about. I don't think Oprah runs because of two things. Number one, she doesn't need it. She's already got all the money in the world. She's already got all of the accolades, and she knows that the people that research her are going to bring out the questions about what her activities, her schools, and her operations in Africa, what's going on over there, and her deep ties to Harvey Weinstein.
That was my next question, and we had my audio turned down to you. What about all the skeletons in her closet? And is she positioning also maybe for Michelle Obama? They've been talking about Joe Obama.
Yeah, Michelle Obama would be another one that would potentially work out. I mean, you could just see them. I believe they've actually done events together in the past. I'd have to look that up very quickly, but I know of course she endorsed Obama in 2008. That carried a lot of weight with the Democrat primaries. Her and Michelle, it would be a natural pair for them to come out, for them to run out, and the Democrats would absolutely love it. We've also seen a lot. If we remember the Alabama race, one of the big takeaways from the special election was the media talking about the power of black women, the ability of black women to swing any race. And they repeated that over and over and over, that narrative, that mantra.
And that's the beta test for the next big run. Exactly.
Correct. So they're primarily, it's called pre-selling. It's called pre-selling, or Robert Cialdini wrote a book on it called Pre-suasion. It's putting your audience into a mode, or into a sense, in this case, the Democrat primary voters, to say, this is the type of person that you want. This is the type of person that we need. This is the type of person that we ought to have. There's even Democrats out there running that say we shouldn't even think about electing or nominating someone who isn't a black woman or a minority woman in some way, which honestly to me sparks a lot of interest to say, why don't we just vote for the qualified candidate? But we know that at this point, the Democrats have forgotten about all of that. They're only caring about identity politics. They're trying to check boxes off. So they had the first black president, then they tried to have the first woman president.
No, that's right.
Well, now they're going to try to have the first black woman.
The opposite of Martin Luther King. Total identity-based politics. All right, we're going to go to break, and Jack Posobiec is going to take over the rest of the transmission. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the free shipping ends today. It's got to end. We're selling out of Brain Force. We already sold out of the colloidal silver. We already sold out of a lot of the things that were discounted. So take advantage of the biggest sales we've ever had. Free shipping still store-wide, 50% off. Secret 12, the best vitamin B12 under the tongue. X2, the best, purest iodine. It's all 50% off or more. Get free shipping right now, but it's got to end tomorrow. By the time the show's on tomorrow, it will be over. And we need a lot of product to be sold at these discounts, but I want you to try them and see how great they are and how they have tens of thousands of 5-star reviews on Power Reviews. That's how we're hiring more reporters, hiring more crew. I've got 6 or 7 correspondents I want to hire right now. I'm doing the bookkeeping to see how much money we have. I'm building new studios, getting more satellites. We're going to really try to expand in 2018, but it is essential for you to come through and keep buying the products, which you've done. But I'm finishing up accounting this week to decide on our growth plans, and it's critical to see this be a strong start to the year. So thank you for making the InfoWar possible. These victories are only because of you and God.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jack Posobiec in here, big fourth hour, hosting live from Washington, D.C. I'm in the saddle back again. We're talking all things deep state. We're talking all things as the left and the media work together to try to push President Trump out of office. Now talking about who's going to be running against him. Will it be Oprah Winfrey? Will it be one of the Democrat successors, Michelle Obama, Joe Biden? Will it be some other billionaire like Mark Cuban? Let's all break everything down. Let's see what's going on. There's a ton of news today, and so I want to get right to it. But one story that really jumped to my attention late last night as I was doing my research, doing my show prep, knowing that I was going to be coming back today for hosting Fourth Hour, was this story out of Dallas, Texas. Huge story, huge news, and of course the mainstream media is completely silent on it. Well, we've got the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, for once, they're not investigating Trump, but who they're actually investigating is these far left domestic terrorist groups. And they've made an arrest. They've actually made an arrest of one of the leaders they see are one of the higher ups in a number of these groups operating in the Dallas area. So the FBI, and we've talked about this in the past before, how it's really the higher levels that have gotten into the political chicanery, getting into the wiretapping of the president, whether or not they use the FISA warrant. And we can talk about that a little later in the show. But at the lower levels, at the field levels, it's the honest FBI agents that are actually going and working to bring threats off the streets, to actually go and make sure that Americans are safe. And person who has now just been arrested about a few weeks ago is this guy by the name of Rakeem Balugan. I think the producers can get the picture up here of Rakeem. So he's been arrested on charges, they said, of illegal firearms, illegal gun ownership. Now, this guy has been involved in a number of far left militant movements. And actually, they refer to themselves as militant movements right in their own statements. So for other people that come around and say, well, these guys are just peaceful, they're just protecting their Second Amendment rights, they're actually describing themselves as militant groups. They're describing themselves as militant activists, militant members of a left-wing armed group that aims at revolution. They call it revolution in the United States. So he's a member of a number of groups, one of which is called the Guerrilla, pull it up here. One guerrilla group, another one that is called the Huey P. Long, Guerrilla Mainframe, another one which is called the Huey P. Long Gun Club. And here's a training video. I'm going to play it without the audio because there's a lot of profanity in this thing, but you can actually see a training video of this group. This is the Huey P. Long Gun Club and Rakeem Balugan, who is training these as they refer to themselves as militant revolutionaries. Huey P. Long, for anyone who doesn't know, he was the founder of the Black Panthers. So these are basically an arm or a self-proclaimed arm of the new Black Panther Party, and they're definitely espousing the groups of the new Black Panthers. They've talked about operations that they'd like to perform, and they've constantly, I can't tell, that might actually be Rakeem there addressing the assembled troops, or that might be him standing in line. It's hard to tell from the grainy footage, but he was arrested on December 11th by FBI agents on firearms charges. Now, these groups operate throughout the Dallas area. They are growing. They have an extreme, and here's their website, Guerrilla Mainframe, because I want to make sure that we put this out, because every time I go and do a report on one of these things, here's what I do. And people say, Jack, what are your sources on these left things? I just go to their websites. I go to their websites and I tell you who they are and I tell you what they are saying. And then fake news media like Newsweek or BuzzFeed comes out and says Posobiec was smearing these activists and he was making up all this stuff and he's making all these unsubstantiated claims, when every time I go and focus on one of these groups, and I've always tried to do that very strictly, and I always try to make that a big focus of my journalism, I'm just going to their websites. I'm going to their websites and I'm telling you what they are putting out. I'm playing you videos that they have made. I'm telling you their information. So they talk about revolutionary Marxism all over their website. They have weapons, pictures, people in guns and dog tags and barbed wire all over the place. And imagine, right? Imagine if this were Trump supporters and that was on their websites. Going to firing ranges, standing in paramilitary uniforms, putting out propaganda videos like that. People would be called, and Trump supporters would, if this were Trump supporters doing this, wearing MAGA hats. This is actually how Trump supporters are portrayed by the left-wing media. This is how Trump supporters are told. We are told by the media that Trump supporters are the militants and Trump supporters are the gun-toting political extremists out there, when I have never seen Trump supporters standing in paramilitary uniforms holding guns. Now, again, they're not necessarily breaking the law here, and I want to make that clear. But what these videos are, to me, they look like ISIS videos. To me, they look like ISIS recruitment videos or other extremist videos you might see from the Middle East. That is what they are attempting to do with this. This is a recruitment video. They're trying to raise people to their ranks. They're trying to increase their ranks. And as in their own words, they're arming up to export and to extend revolutionary militant movement in the United States. So they're saying that the arrest of their leader was politically motivated. They're saying that he hadn't broken any laws. And here's the thing with the FBI, when they go to arrest someone, if they go to perform a raid, they can't actually arrest someone only for being the leader of a political group, because after everything that happened in the 1970s, after everything that was going on with a lot of these groups, new legislation was passed that placed restrictions on what the FBI could do when it came in terms of political movements. So they can't actually just go after you for your politics. You have to commit a crime. And so while they may place them under surveillance, or they may place them under investigation, it looks like that's what the FBI did here. And we saw some indications earlier this year out of Jeff Sessions' Department of Justice that the FBI created a new entity of classification for investigation. And on their website, they describe themselves as Black Identity Extremists. So Black Identity Extremist is the classification the FBI may have used to surveil this group. And during the course of that surveillance, they may have found out that not all of their gun laws were compliant with actual stated federal law, and that is for the reason for the arrest of their leader. So they're currently championing to get him out. Again, folks, imagine, if you will, that this was the right wing. Imagine if this were Trump supporters that were running around, putting on paramilitary garb, wearing sunglasses, and toting rifles in parking lots of schools, parking lots of playgrounds, waving revolutionary flags, okay? They'd be pilloried. We would be told they are arming to take over the country. They would be called extremists. There would be calls for their arrest and deportation. But when it's the left, they don't even tell you the story. Well, that's why here on the at Infowars, we are going to give you the full story. We are going to tell you what's going on. It's not the right doing this. It's the left. We focused on left-wing violence, and we're going to continue to focus on left-wing violence as we call for. All right, folks, Jack Posobiec here from Washington, D.C., coming live, filling in for Alex here, hosting this big fourth hour. Want to take a quick break to remind you guys all about some of the amazing specials that are going on right now, InfoWarsStore.com, and we've got to absolutely talk about the Super Blue products. I've talked to some folks, the representatives from the InfoWars store, just over the break, and I said, guys, what do we really want to tell people? They said, Jack, the Super Blue products, that is what we have to focus on right now, because this deal is only going to be available for a limited time. It may only be available for the rest of the day. And folks, this is absolutely essential for people that want to get that good, healthy mouth hygiene, that want to get the toothpaste, that want to get the mouthwash, that want to get the strips, that want to get everything that's available up there. The Super Blue, it's fluoride free. Now, people don't know so much that fluoride has the ability to that can attack your gums, that if it can cause diseases of the gums. A lot of the bacteria that affects your gums, it's going to enter the bloodstream, contribute to those blood clots. Well, Super Blue, it's that groundbreaking formula loaded with halogen iodine as opposed to halogen fluoride. It's so much more healthy for you than putting that fluoride in. And the amazing thing is that it's 50% off right now. So a tube of it, it's only going to be about $7.45. So normally you're seeing something that's going for double that price. Right now, it's 50% off. It's going to be ending soon, folks. That is one of the best ways. And if you want to support what we're doing here, as well as support your own health, as well as support your own hygiene, what's going on in your life, you want to do that for your family, get that set up. Super Blue is definitely a way to go. And also, if you're someone who hasn't tried any of the products from the InfoWars store just yet, start with the toothpaste. Right? It's toothpaste. You know it works. Everybody that's involved with InfoWars uses it. So go ahead, try it out for yourself. See if you like it. If you do, you can set it up for the recurring shipments, and then you can look at getting in some of the packages. But right now, it's the perfect opportunity to get started, that if you've never done it before, you might as well get it. And if you're going to get in, you might as well get it for 50% off. Looking over at some of the news today, we were talking with Alex just recently about Steve Bannon and his current situation with the White House, what's going on with his relationship with the president. I've spoken to one of my sources earlier today about Steve Bannon's situation. I've spoken to a number of people over the weekend about that. There were some talks about possibly patching things up. There were some talks about basically the reason Bannon put out his statement yesterday on Sunday, basically apologizing. This statement was drafted prior to right when the book came out. Bannon had a statement drafted up and said this was going to be it, and he was going to get it out and push it and say he was sorry for that the whole thing happened, and he was going to slam the book and say it was completely discredited. Well, as it turns out, that statement didn't get out originally. He didn't want to after the president kind of went nuclear in his own statement. Then Bannon decided on Sunday to put it out and said, all right, well, let's cause a truce. Let's put the statement out. The breaking news, and this is out of The Hill. So Jordan Fabian has the story. It's the White House rejecting Bannon's apology. The White House saying in a statement that that they're standing by the president's comments that Bannon has lost it, that he's only in it for himself, and that this is just a way to further his own political ambitions and his political career. Basically saying that everything that Bannon said in his apology doesn't matter and that they're going to be going against him, period. And now this is going to hurt Bannon in terms of trying to put together his operation for 2018. I've asked folks throughout DC what's going on with that, whether his operations are going to be funded, whether other people are trying to come out. And it looks like some of his funders may also be dropping, if what my sources tell me is correct, that some of those people might be pulling out of the PAC. His essentially 501c4 organization that he was going to use, a dark money organization, to get involved with different candidates and different races around the country. Instead, this really seems to be like the purge of Steve Bannon, both politically and in terms of his stature over at Breitbart News, where a lot of people are talking about because of his fall from grace with the Mercers, who are essentially the main donors behind that organization. He has fallen out of favor with them, that they are looking at potentially removing him as chairman of Breitbart News. This would be a huge blow for Bannon, and one that a lot of people are scratching their heads over, because they're saying, does this all go back to the book? Does this all go back to Michael Wolff? No, it did not start with Michael Wolff. This did not start with just one book. This is something that had been brewing for quite some time. Remember, Steve Bannon was fired by President Trump months ago. Actually, it was in the aftermath of the Charlottesville rally that Steve Bannon was let go from the White House. That happening all the way back in August. So to say that this was just happening because of the book, it's really not that. It's more of that is just a catalyst to push through the furthering dissent, the furthering rift between Bannon and now not only Trump and the White House, but the entire Trump family. Specifically, the target of a lot of the comments in that book was Don Jr. Don Jr. then came back and beat Bannon over the head with those on Twitter, verbally, of course, talking about how could he say things like that? Why would he say things like that? And then later, why meet with somebody who is so discredited? A lot of questions, and essentially sources were then saying that the reason that Bannon didn't immediately deny any of the statements, and the reason that he has yet to deny any of the statements, that many of them may have been on tape, and that Michael Wolff may actually have a recording of the statements that were made, whether in the White House or the Hay Adams Hotel where Wolff was staying just across the street there. I've had dinner there a few times, with Roger Stone there a number of times. It is a very nice hotel, but one that is extremely expensive. So I don't know exactly who is paying Wolff's bills while he was in town, but someone definitely gave him access to the White House, the president saying that it was not President Trump that gave him access. Now, this guy Wolff, what he's done is he's saying that he's trying to take down the president, but it really seems like the only person that he's taken down is Steve Bannon. Now, President Trump, and I was going to get to the story a little bit later, he's now meeting with Bob Corker of the establishment, and a lot of people are juxtaposing this and saying that Trump is now moving away from Steve Bannon, that Trump is now using this as an opening to sort of renegotiate or reinvigorate some of his ties with the GOP establishment. The fact that he has been with Bob Corker on Air Force One, the fact that they've been holding events together, holding discussions together, is a huge indication that their relationship has been mended, as opposed to back in last October when there was a huge war of words between the two of them. It seems like Bob Corker was about to become the next Jeff Flake in terms of his never Trump status. Seemed like he was going to use his remaining time in office. He's not scheduled to run for re-election this year. That in only doing to attack the president, to bash the president, him, of course, the senator from Tennessee. But it seems that in the wake of all of this, that Trump may be looking at his past ties with Bannon and seeing how he's been burned by it, how he's been burned by that situation, and is now moving back towards other folks in the establishment, looking towards people to say, you know what? I may not, and I can understand that from a political standpoint, because he might be saying that, you know what, I thought these guys were on my side. They came to me. They said they were on my team. They stabbed me in the back. Whereas somebody like Bob Corker, somebody like who is, of course, very closely aligned with Jeff Flake and Mitch McConnell, he knows that they are GOP establishment. He knows where they're coming from. And regardless of disagreements that they have, and certainly there's lots to disagree with them there, he knows who they are, he knows where they're coming from, and they're not being deceitful with the president. So from that honest standpoint, because again, they're being open and honest about disagreeing on policies, that creates a situation where at least they can start to make a deal. And if there's anything we know about Donald J. Trump, is that we know that he likes to make deals. In fact, the man wrote an entire book about it. It's called Art of the Deal. So that's what Trump is looking to do now. He's looking to make deals with the establishment. It looks like instead of going into an all-out war with the establishment, it looks that he wants to have some kind of deal to get things going, like the tax cuts bill that we got in just before the end of the year. He's going to make a big deal out of that in the State of the Union address coming up here pretty soon. But we're going to stay focused, look at everything as it breaks. Stick with us. We've got a few more segments here. Jack Posobiec hosting Hour 4 of Info. Jack Posobiec not coming to you from the Central Command Center there in the heart of Texas, but actually coming to you from the heart, if there is a heart, of the swamp here in the D.C. Beltway, directly live from our nation's capital, where President Trump valiantly has established a beachhead in the sea of corruption. Amidst the corruption here in Washington, D.C., he has established a beachhead for the real deep state, the real silent deep state, the American people, the American majority, which swept him to power, which swept him to the White House in 2016. We are now just about 1 year away. We're 12 days away from the 1 year anniversary of Trump's inauguration. And just think about that for a second, folks. Remember all the doom and gloom, the apocalyptic scandals we were told, the tall tales, the fables, everything that was said by the left, by the media that would happen if Trump was to take office. Everything they said, the stock market was going to crash. They were going to say that racism would be rampant in the United States. They said that World War III was going to happen, that we were going to break out into nuclear war with Russia, with China, with North Korea, all over the place, that ISIS would be widespread. Well, actually, the opposite's happened. Jobs are breaking records. Unemployment rates are breaking records in terms of our record low unemployment for African Americans. Unemployment for Hispanics dropping to a point from last year. All of these things that they said couldn't possibly happen, they're all happening. Jobs coming back, manufacturing jobs. And see, here's one thing that Obama used to always talk about. And he would always play these games with the jobs numbers. And I'm sure they're going to talk about it now, because this always comes up around the 1 year mark or the end of the year, start of the new year. Those are jobs numbers. That's what everybody always gets into. Well, one thing that the Obama administration used to love to do was they would talk about seasonal jobs and part-time jobs and things that weren't full-time jobs. And they would refer to them as the same types of jobs. And so they would say, well, unemployment's low because look at all these jobs and look at all these jobs we created. But you would go in and you'd find a lot of them were part-time jobs. A lot of them were not manufacturing jobs. A lot of them weren't good paying jobs. And so when you crunch the numbers and you look at some of the numbers and industry that's actually coming back to the United States, that and in terms of how much capital is flowing back into the United States. That's why the record high stock market numbers, 25,000 in the Dow, makes so much sense, because that means that those companies, that the big companies, are now reinvesting their money back into the United States. That is the major difference between the Trump economy and the Obama economy. So to compare numbers and just say, oh, we had this number, you're not actually telling the full story, because you need to be qualitative, not just quantitative, in terms of the success story. And it's only been a year. It's only been a year in that case. So the fact that our president has been able to take out ISIS in just 1 year, has been able to push back on the unemployment numbers, has been able to bring so many businesses back in just 1 year, to reinvigorate the stock market in just 1 year, that is the real story of this presidency. And, we were talking about Oprah earlier, and I played a clip from Oprah in 1988. I've got it up on my Twitter account. I've got it pinned there at twitter.com/Jack Posobiec. You guys can see it, where it's Oprah talking to Donald Trump in 1988, asking him if he's going to run for president. And he says he's not sure, but he said the reason that he would run, if he meant to, and I know that clip that Alex has played it many times on this show, and he said the reason that he wanted to run was that he doesn't like how our country is getting beaten by all the other countries out there, how our companies are getting lost in the international marketplace, how they're losing out to all of these international companies that come in. And he was talking about Japan and Kuwait. That was such a big issue back at that turn of the decade, going from 1980s into 1990s. Today, you could probably say the same in terms of China, right? China would be a huge sort of stand-in for Japan in terms of where they were. And so Oprah, I would basically like to thank Oprah in terms of this, because she's given us the opportunity to show that Donald Trump, for everything that people want to say about him, he's consistent. And he's been consistent for almost 30 years, or it will be 30 years this year, since that clip of saying the exact same things that he would do if he ran for president, that he would want to fix in this country. And actually, now that he's been in office, getting them done. Well, now the left and their associates in the deep state want to get him out of office. And that is where the Mueller investigation comes in. This thing that's been discredited from left and right. We've heard about the FBI's investigation, their attempts to parallel reconstruct the unmasking, the wiretapping, these meetings with people that have ties to Fusion GPS, this dossier that was getting thrown around all over the place. What the heck was going on? What the heck is going on? And what is Mueller going to make of it? Well, now the latest is that Mueller's special counsel is in talks with the White House and the president's lawyers, Ty Cobb and Jay Sekulow, about potentially interviewing the president of the United States under oath. So this would be monumental. This would be huge for the left if they could make this happen. This, if everyone remembers, going back to 1998, the last time this happened to a sitting president, Bill Clinton, when he was put under oath and was asked questions essentially about his past relationships with women other than Hillary Clinton and his relationship with Monica Lewinsky. That was a devastating interview for President Clinton, and it led to possibly the huge scandal that kept Hillary out of office, because finally after that we were able to learn what was going on with Juanita Broderick, etc. So they want to put Trump through the same situation. They saw how that interview was devastating for Bill Clinton. They want to put Trump under that same thing, because here's what it comes down to, folks. There's two outcomes of this. Number one, and the most likely outcome, is that they have the interview. It goes on for several hours. It's either live or it's not. And they have nothing. They find nothing. They get no false statements from the president. They have nothing to go on, and they get absolutely nothing out of it. Keep in mind that this also would happen while Hillary Clinton, who was under investigation, was never once interviewed under oath, was never put under oath, and papers to write up her exoneration in the investigation were done well before any interviews even took place. So the fact that it's under oath, though, creates a possibility for them going for a perjury charge, in which case they would call this a lying to an FBI or lying to a DOJ prosecutor, because that's essentially what they got Flynn on. Right, and they ask him, they'll say something like, "Oh, you know, who did you have in the meeting? Did you have?" And he'll say, "Well, I had Paul Manafort, I had Jared Kushner, and I had Michael Flynn in the meeting." They'll say, "Okay, fine," and they'll say, "Wait a minute, was Steve Bannon there?" And then afterwards, he can say, "Oh yeah, you know what, Steve was there too." Aha, well, you lied because you didn't tell us that Steve was there. He said, "No, I just forgot. I didn't remember Steve was at that meeting specifically." And they say, "No, it doesn't matter. You lied, and we have it on tape. We have you, and now it's perjury, right?" So that's what we call a process crime. So they got Flynn on. But we're all hoping that the president, of course, will be able to go forward and conduct that interview, not have any issues with it if he has to. Though, honestly, I don't see the pressing need for it, because to have Trump on TV for something where there is no evidence, there is no fire, there's no there's barely even any smoke. The media just wants you to think that there is, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. They want you to think there's smoke there. They want you to think that there's all of this speculation going on, which Russians, those Russians, these, you know, some people, even if they were Russian, they're now trying to go after Ivanka. They want now to investigate her because she may have written in, and I'm really not making this up. People are going to think I'm making this up. I'm sorry, I'm not making it up. They want to investigate Ivanka because she may have ridden in an elevator with Russians, and she may have said hello to them in the elevator at Trump Tower. And this is the length of ridiculousness that they're going to. Remember, this is all supposed to be about the president colluding with Russia to win the election. Well, they have no evidence of that. The investigation has shown no proof, despite the fact that it's been going on for almost 2 years now. According to James Comey, this thing started in mid-2016. They applied for a FISA warrant then, they didn't get it. They applied for it later, October, they got it. So the real question I have is, for Mueller and for anyone else on this Trump-Russia conspiracy theory, is show me the evidence. If you've had him under investigation, where's the evidence of any of this? Where's the evidence? Because you don't have any. So why are you pushing forward? You don't get to interview the president under oath if you have no evidence. Send a statement. It never happened. The president should send a letter, and then he should open another investigation into Uranium One, which apparently all of these same players, Sturzock, McCabe, Rosenstein, the rest, Mueller, are tied into. That's where I'm coming from on Infowars. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening to me. 4th hour, Jack Posobiec here. Stick tuned. We're going to have Owen Schroyer coming up next on War Room. Massive 3 hours. Find me on Twitter.